I would think so, yeah.
Last update was 40 minutes ago.
What, still 20-0?
Still 20 0.
Okay. Stop or start?
27 0.
EKP.
Glasgow.
Glasgow. 20 EKP.
The Scottish team. Didn't he lose to Aberdeen?
Who?
He's EKP.
No, they beat them. They haven't lost the game yet. No. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Druid Park, Newcastle. We've got coming up today the Division 1 game, NFC North, the Northumberland Vikings against the Gateshead Senators. This is a rematch of a Week 1 game where the Vikings beat the Senators 24-0 at Jarrow. Before we get into that and before we get into the game itself, we're just going to look at the current situation in the NFC North at the moment. And you can see that the Vikings are currently unbeaten on 3-0, and East Kilbride are also unbeaten, and we've got they at the moment are 27-0 up, we believe, at home to Glasgow, or I beg your pardon, away to Glasgow. Then we've got the Tigers and the Rams, and Aberdeen and Gateshead as yet to get a win. So today's game is the second one from Druids Park. We are back here on June the 9th for the next UK AFL game, and then on the 16th we'll be back at Leicester to see the Falcons against Edinburgh. Following that, we've got our first double header, which is an exciting development for us. So we'll be at Leicester against Tamworth at 1 o'clock, and then we'll be at Yorkshire Rams against East Kilbride at 4 o'clock. And more stuff happening later, which we'll tell you about. We get into the game today. We've got Jonathan Rooney joining us as a special summariser on the sideline, and it's your usual team, myself and Craig Lenihan doing the commentary. We look like we're getting ready to go, so I'm going to hand over now. We're going to run a couple of interviews and a couple of adverts, and I'll see you back here soon.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly right. For a family of 5, traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20, or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine though, like flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Awesome.
Good morning, I'm joined by Connor Joyce. Connor is the Vikings captain this year. Welcome, Connor.
Thanks, man.
Nice to see the t-shirt there.
Well, thought it would be a good representation of what we did last season.
Yeah, it was a good year.
Let everyone know.
Yeah. How did you feel it went?
Better than expected, actually. I think pre-season we wanted to push for the playoffs, but we had no idea we'd come about 5 minutes away from going to the Prem. Yeah. So it was a really nice surprise, and we had a good year. Obviously, we had Eric and Eddie helping out, and they were massive influences on not just what they did in the pitch, but on everyone off it as well. Yeah. But it was a really interesting season, and I hope we can replicate it.
Well, you know, you were part of a secondary that was pretty good last year with Penny and Sabelli. Raven.
Got a lot of good guys, and everyone's back pretty much, apart from Josh is coaching the Shays, our DC, he's not playing. Right. But we've got Johnny from Lancs. Mike Ellicott's back from Northumberland as well, so we've got a good group of guys.
Are you happy with it?
I'm very happy, yeah.
Okay. Well, you still got your record going, you still not missed a game?
Yeah.
How many are we up to now?
Like 52, is it?
52,
This will be 52, I think.
Yeah, well, no, it's more than that. It's got to be more than that because it was 50 before.
I think that was Sandwell, so
50 was Samuel. It will be.
This will be 53. This will be 53 today. So.
All right. Well,
touch wood, no injuries, but I've just been quite lucky. I've got away without getting any serious injuries or anything.
Well, that's what happens when you dish it out and not take it. Isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't play offense. I don't get hit.
Absolutely. Well, you know, in the playoff, you played offense. You filled a gap that we needed to do.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be that unlucky again. We had a few injuries and issues going into that final with Dira, obviously, and Jacob. Yeah. Hopefully we won't be in that position again, but always happy to help.
So the new talent that you've seen this year in pre-season, anybody stand out?
As I said, I think I mentioned him, Johnny, who's playing, I think he's playing corner today, but can't play strong safety. He's been fantastic. I think he played for Lancashire last year, but did his ACL at some point. Okay. So he's just back this year, but he's been really good. And then Richie filling into QB's done a really good job. Yeah. Eric's a real tough act to follow, but I think Richie did really well in game 1 against Gateshead.
Yeah, I was impressed with his calmness under pressure at the game. He didn't seem to panic, did he?
Well, he's been like that since I've known Richie years now. Like in Northumberland as well, he's very unflappable. Yeah. And he handles the situation really well. Yeah. He played QB once or twice last year before Eric came. Right. And he always did a good job controlling the offense.
And where's your goals this year, Connor, both personally and for the defense and for the team as a whole?
I think for me personally and the defense, get as many shutouts as possible. Obviously a good start against Gateshead. Yeah. But looking forward, it'll be good to get shutouts, maybe like Aberdeen did against Rams, and the EKP. But I'd like to.
That was a bit of a shock result, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if they're resting guys or got people coming back, but Aberdeen seemed to put on a really strong showing. Yeah. Real surprise. They did well against EKP though as well. I know they got beat 23-6, but they're doing quite well for coming up with D1. Okay. No, I don't think anyone expected what happened yesterday to be 42-0.
Yeah. All right. Well done, mate. Keep it up. Congratulations on the captaincy.
No, thanks, mate. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
thousands of businesses who have taken out a fast, affordable funding circle loan and helped your business fly.
Good morning, we're joined by quarterback Richie Howe. Welcome, Richie.
Thank you very much.
So, first year as QB1.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Tell the viewers your history, your stories.
Yeah, so I've been playing for a while, almost like 10 years now. It's kind of progressed different positions, but probably my first position I really played was quarterback. The team looked out to me and asked if I wanted to play, and I said yes.
And that was at Woodham, right?
Yeah, so Woodham Warriors, yeah, I owe a lot to Danny Ketch and John Tate. They got me into the sport and progressing through that. A lot of coaches helped me out on the way.
Certainly in good hands with those two.
Yeah, they've guided me tremendously. I still reach out to them for advice nowadays. And then since then, she's progressed. Like I said, I've kind of moved throughout a variety of positions, but always end up back at quarterback. And here I am now, 3 games in with 3.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I enjoy throwing the ball, and I like leading the team. I feel like as a quarterback, you really need to lead the team. So maybe leadership comes down to it a little bit. Yeah.
We've mentioned in commentary quite a lot. I don't know if you've listened to any of it back.
Yeah, my mum watches all the games.
Horrible things we've been saying about it. But we've been saying that one of the things that stands out whilst your numbers aren't brilliant.
Compared to others,
what you do appear to have is this leadership. But more importantly, in my opinion, is you don't panic. Under pressure, you seem to be able to make decisions quickly.
It's what with exams and at school, I would never get overly concerned about them. I always feel as though that you get what you put in and put it onto American football, so I know that eventually I'll always come through for the team. So far, like I said, my numbers haven't been great. I'm looking to improve them this Sunday. But I know that I'll always be there for the team. In those pressure moments, I'll get the team through. So that's what I like to do.
Got some good receivers.
Yeah, great receivers. Stand out, obviously Jacob, Jordan, Dion, but even the younger guys, Jordan, another Jordan. Promise is looking good. Paul when he comes out in the receiver. But Jacob and Jordan, wow, what fast guys. It's hard for me to get the ball because they're that fast. So but moving from now, running backs, great support for me. To be able to ride on them and get 100 yards every game, fantastic.
And quite a nasty offensive line this year. Not nasty, vocal shots.
Yeah, vocal.
To go. I'm joined today by Craig Lenihan once again. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Appreciate it. I'm very well. I'm looking forward to the match today.
Well, you've played for both these teams?
Absolutely. Played for both these teams, both sides of the ball as well.
Okay.
And what we're looking at now, we've got Newcastle who've won the toss. They've deferred, so they're going to Gateshead have elected to receive. And as we look, Gateshead will be on the left, going to the right. So it'll be our first chance to see this Gateshead offence, who I think are probably going to come out with a tight end and 2 running backs.
Okay.
Look to run the ball, but I went and saw them last week, played at Glasgow, and I did see them throw the ball and more than I've seen in recent years. So we might see a bit more of a 50-50 balance on their attack today.
Okay, it looks like we're ready to go, so we'll get our commentary position and crack on. It's a short one, and that's
high and right.
by
Ryan Fletcher. Ryan Fletcher. Makes a couple of yards before he's met by good gang tackling off the Vikings special teams unit. Okay, I go with tight end right, shotgun, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 43 cover 2 with a strong safety walk down for Vikings.
Looked like there might have been a bit of movement, but no flags. So
it's a nice catch and grab for 2 yards.
Phil Sibeli on the stop.
So as I said, Mick, we'll come out, we've thrown the ball on the first play. I expect to see Gateshead try something different today. They certainly had some success with the deep ball, the fade last weekend against the Tigers. And one of the things I was talking to some of their players is perhaps we should see a few play action plays today. Try to get that secondary of the Vikings to bite a bit.
Were you at the first game with these two teams, Craig? I don't think you were.
I didn't know. No. I mean, I had a chat to some of the players.
To be fair, Gateshead did get to the 1 yard line a couple of times without scoring. So, you know, they didn't have a problem moving the ball.
Yeah, I think, and it was similar last weekend. I've spoken to, as I say, some of the players, and they're quite happy that they can move the ball in open field, but they've struggled in the red zone. Certainly, the last match, they were picked off twice in the red zone and then stopped a third time in the red zone. And it led to quite an unflattering scoreline. The game was a lot closer than the score suggested against the Tigers, but as you said, they're difficulty punching it in the red zone.
3rd and 3, maybe 4.
Power right. It's met in the backfield by number 3.
Ducey Burwell.
Ducey Burwell, who's come all the way from America via Feather River College in California, Robert Morse University in Chicago, Durham Saints in Durham, and I believe a number of his family are watching over in the States. So there we go, 3rd down, they needed a stop. Followed the pulling guard into the backfield, made the tackle for a loss.
Makes it look easy, doesn't it?
Well, he's got a bit of experience.
Okay, so it's going to be punt for the Senators.
So Teague Degby, number 24, back to return, quite deep. Senators run 4 wide to the right as gunners.
And that's
and the ball shanked.
Right for me and you, Craig, that one. So it's going to be change of possession. Vikings going to get the ball around the 33-yard line.
Oh no, it's about the 39-yard line, mate. That's good field position. It was a very short punt. Took an unlucky bounce as well.
Oh, yes, because it went out of bounds back. It didn't. Yep.
So 12:29 left in the first quarter. So we're joined on the sideline by Jonathan Rooney, head coach of the Durham Saints. He's here to give us a few insights as well as we start off on this first drive on the Vikings' 33-yard line.
Well, it was quite an interesting first drive from Gateshead. They obviously opened with a pass, as you kind of predicted pre-game. I think they know that up front it's going to be a difficult time moving the ball on these. However, is sort of are they going to be able to consistently hit that 3-5 yard hitch? That's where a lot of the game's going to be played.
Well, I think we've seen Vikings up against this cover 3 defense straight away work underneath on those cornerbacks who are quite deep. It's one thing the Vikings have done this season is managed to hit the throw underneath consistently.
Yeah, when you've got when you've got the receiver core that the Vikings have, there isn't really much reason not to put the ball in the air. Richie's made a great start this season. He played a little bit last year. Having said that, he's just thrown a dirt ball there. But
you just give him the kiss of death.
Yeah, he's made a good start for the year so far. We said it last year on commentary. He's the type of guy that puts a smile on your face. He's an energy guy. He's a team guy. So.
Well, interestingly though, as well, this is his first full season as a starting quarterback. So, you know, he's been around the game a long time, but he's not actually had that much experience at the starting position.
True, but he's got a wide variety of experience because of his general athleticism. So part of the reason was, he was so good at linebacker, so good at safety that he was playing both ways, and it's kind of dangerous.
There is a flag on the field.
Both ways. So I think a lot of teams were picking him as a defensive player, even though he was the best quarterback on the squad. They just couldn't afford to have the starting quarterback injured whilst playing safety or linebacker. And that's kind of delayed him a bit, but I believe in practice for most of the time he has been getting those reps at QB. I don't know it's not the same as live reps, but he's doing pretty well.
Well, just off that play, nothing going downfield. He's took the ball and run with it. Took a pretty big hit. He spilled it up. Gateshead have recovered. We had a hold in the backfield, which will be declined. Obviously, turnover through the fumble. Gateshead get the ball back with good field possession.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, the referees are, they always have a massive impact on the game, and you just have to play it as it is. Maybe the guys at home on TV will be able to see whether the quarterback was down before he fumbled it.
Well, I think he was held up by one of the tackling players, so I don't think he'd been down on the floor by the time he'd spilled the ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure on it. I saw someone grab his legs. I saw them sort of roll over, and maybe his knee went down, maybe his knee went on the body or whatever. I don't know. But also, it's been an interesting start. Like, Gateshead have won the field position in this first 5 minutes, and they've not had an impressive drive, but they've completed a pass. They've got a good clean punt off. They've got into Vikings territory, so you're really thinking, if this is not what they set out to do, what was? So I'm hoping that they can really make a drive of this one, and we've got
jet sweep left.
We're seeing here though that the Vikings front is stiff, it's tough.
That front seven of the Vikings, as I've said on previous occasions, has been the core of this team. I mean, there's not been a game I've been to witness or be part of with the Vikings where the front seven haven't influenced the game.
And I think a lot of it comes from Coach O'Regan's mindset. He's a D lineman. He's got an attack philosophy, and even though he's not coaching defense this year, Josh Penny, the DC, has got that same attack mindset. Sterling teams have always attacked on defense.
Okay, we have one man jump, but the left tackle, I believe, jumped as well, so it'll be interesting to see what the referee calls.
I think it's offside, and the tackle jumped because the guy was in his face, but we'll see how it plays out. It's going to help them, actually, because 3rd and 8 is a bit of a nightmare, but 3rd and 3, it opens up a lot of different choices. I think one of the key strengths as well, and people talk about the Vikings front seven, and I do as well, and I'm guilty of it at times, is that the front seven's allowed to play because the 4 DBs can play on their own. They don't need much support. They play a lot of man coverage. They play a lot of one-on-one zone coverage and stuff, and they're not really afraid to be on an island, which lets you get an extra man in the box.
Okay, so the whistle dead. So Gateshead going on 2 there. Potentially looking for an offside jump from the defence again, but the QB struggled to hold on to the ball from the shotgun snap and couldn't actually quite fall on it. Be interesting to see what the call is.
I believe they've not called the full start, and I believe they've just said that he's down and given him the benefit of doubt by being a quarterback.
Okay, so we have a turnover.
It must.
So perhaps the person that picked the ball up, his knee was down when he touched it.
Yeah, that would be the one that would make the most sense. Certainly there was no signal about an inadvertent whistle or anything like that after possession.
Right, so we're back on offense for the Vikings. What did I miss there, Coach?
Not too much. It's been a bit of a messy start. Both teams will be a little bit disappointed with what they've done so far. A few miscues, a few fumbles by the QB. Here's Johnny for the first time, and he shows his strength and picks up 6 yards. And I think that's something that we talked about earlier with Craig, that the Vikings attempted to throw the ball so much because the receiver core is so good.
Yeah.
But this O-line is tough. It's together, it's technical, it's fast, and Johnny is probably the best running back in Division 1. I've not seen someone that possesses all of his skills, the catching ability, the running, the strength, the power, and the speed.
Consistency as well.
Yeah. There's bigger boys who run the ball hard, there's faster guys, there's better receivers, but the fact that he's got all of the tools in one mix is pretty hot. Oh, there's an interception here though. And so after giving young Richie a load of praise, he started the game pretty poorly.
You've put the commentator's curse on him, have
I
you?
have, yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a great kid, and he'll lift his head up and he'll go out and play.
It's very scrappy, isn't it? I mean, that's what 1, 2, 3 turnovers so far
Yeah, and
already.
I think
And
being
it's-
scrappy is the game that Gateshead wants. You know, they are always, without a shadow of a doubt, tough. They're always big. They're always mean. They've got that Sunday family vibe going on, and they're gonna attack this game. And if it ends up in a bit of a pit fight, I think they'll enjoy it. You know, the Vikings had hoped they could score and get some daylight and maybe finesse it a bit more. But the Senators are always going to be coming.
That's to nobody. That one. That's miles away.
It looks like a complete miscue.
Yeah.
Or almost. There were two deep players on this half of the field, and it almost looks like he's got his like a concept flipped the wrong way around.
I think what they were looking for there was the stop and go. In warm-up today, we saw the QB throwing the fade quite a bit, and the cornerbacks for the Vikings defense are playing pretty good in terms of not biting on the run, staying with their man coverage, just trying to get them bite on that hook and then throw it over the top. But he released the ball far too quickly and didn't give the receiver time to do anything.
So 2nd and 10, Gateshead.
Ball to no.
And again, it's number 17 with the ball.
It's been quite interesting the start of this game. Dan Lang, the quarterback for Gateshead, has started every drive. Last week they were flip-flopping quarterbacks every single drive, no matter the success. You know, sometimes Dan would have success, sometimes Rob would have success, but they'd keep flipping back and back. But it looks like they've got a more consistent game plan. Big question for me would be, with Rob being such a game runner and such an athlete, why wouldn't you have him on the field somewhere else? If Dan's your guy at QB, I'd have Rob running the ball because he is always up for it.
That's recovered by the Vikings. I think it's Josh Tucker that's got it.
They're going to go 4th down here. Referee signaling 4th down.
Already had 3 turnovers so far in this first quarter.
It's been very scrappy, hasn't it? It was Josh Tucker on the ball, but they're saying that it's still Gateshead ball.
4th and 9. Bringing out their punt team, looking to play possession and field position.
With this overload 4 gunners on the right, they must have some trick play cooked up. They must have something at some point. And why wouldn't you pull the trigger now?
So getting back to the point you were making about the changing of the quarterbacks, coach. Why would you do that? Why would you give one quarter and then change it the second? Surely you want to get rhythm as a quarterback.
Personally, I wouldn't. The disparity between the quarterbacks would have to be so big that I wouldn't. I can think about times in my past where I've seen it when, teams like Mississippi State. They had a quarterback called Tyler, who was a 5th-year starter. He was 6'5", 230 pounds, pocket passer, was going to get drafted in the NFL. And Dak Prescott was a redshirt freshman. That's a totally different proposition. Yeah, that changed the game, and they were like, is it Wildcat or is it just the second QB coming in? And they changed the formations and they changed the actions. But here,
it's the same plays.
It's the
with
same
different
plays, but like with the passer isn't noticeably better than Rob. He's a bit better, but not much. And Rob is a much better runner.
Okay, so it's Johnny. Looks like he's made a break. He's 1st down.
And actually, I think these QBs are, on effectiveness are roughly the same. One's a much better runner. One's a little bit of a better passer. And actually, being a better passer is quite significant. But they've obviously spied a weakness. They say, you know what, maybe this Vikings front 7, we can't get round it. We are going to have to pass, so it has to be done. But I think that, another issue is Rob is
he's playing defense.
Safety.
Yeah, he's playing defense.
So that might have influenced it as well. That might have influenced the decision. Me and Craig talked earlier about Richie's situation where he's not played QB most of his career because he was so good as a...
There we see Rob Watts on the stop.
Yeah, because he was so good as a linebacker and a free safety and stuff that he missed out on playing QB because he was so versatile. And maybe that's what's happened here today.
So we've seen 2 inside zone run plays. Johnny Mumbai cutting back on the first one, which is what you teach your running backs on the zone play. It's always a cut back that gets you the decent yards. Brings up 2nd and 4. Inside zone right again. Cuts back again. Has he got enough?
I think he's just about made that one. Let's wait to see what the referees indicate.
One thing about the Vikings here is the running backs are all quite short. And in that inside zone game, it makes it quite difficult for middle linebackers to see where they're going if they can keep a low centre of gravity.
Yeah, they've given it as a first down.
Well, I've seen the same play run 3 times in a row there. So see if we see any sort of zone read from the QB keeping it, or perhaps play action and throw.
Do you think that they've gone back to that because of what happened on the first couple of drives, the interception and the fumble, or would that be part of the plan?
Oh, well, the inside zone's a bread and butter run game for this team, so
why not play it on the first 2 drives? Why not establish that first?
well, what you're trying to do really is get the defense and give them a look you haven't seen before. Right. So maybe you've been studying the tape and you've seen 1 or 2 things you can exploit. Start the game, you've got decent field position after a couple of turnovers. That's when you put in those new plays.
I mean, another factor is Gateshead have played a 44 cover 3 for, 15 years. And, they've got 8 in the box. They're loading it up and they're saying, you can't run against us. So, the coordinator thinks...
This time it's Jordan Matthews, and it looks like he's going...
Huge block from Dion there on the edge.
Well, that's one of the reasons that you run that inside zone, Mick. The outside linebackers on that 44, the first thing that happened is that the quarterback put the ball forward. They both stepped into the box, which meant the slot was uncovered. It was a 2-yard pass, which turned into a 30, 40-yard gain after the catch.
And specifically about Gateshead's system is they're running a 44, but the defensive ends are kind of a real heavy shade on the tackle. So even here, we can see that the tight end has outflanked the D end. They're really a hard B-gap player. So that means the outside linebacker's got the contain or the force, and it's the read player. Traditionally in these zone reads, the defensive end would be the guy you're reading, but they've blocking the defensive end because he's such a heavy player, and they're reading the outside linebacker. And if the outside linebacker is, a big linebacker for British standards, he's kind of a bit too heavy, then he's in a massive bind. He's on an island.
Well, once again, we've seen them exploit that, the fact we've got a fairly narrow D-end, and that was a zone read where the QB's reading the backside D-end. If he crashes down or lines up narrow, we see him keep it, and then it's down to the outside linebackers.
It's even wider than that. They're blocking the backside defensive end because how heavy his technique is, and they're reading the outside linebacker, who's got a pass responsibility of the number 2 receiver, but a run responsibility of contain. And it's a real interesting mix.
I mean, and the viewers will probably be wondering why Gateshead are sticking to this defence. Every single defence has its flaws, its strengths and its weaknesses. But one of the things about this 44 cover 3 is as you get into the red zone, the safety gets brought forward. You have a large number of guys in the box, so it's that bend don't break philosophy. But we need to see what those interior linemen for Gateshead can do now against the interior linemen for the Vikings.
I think as well, it comes from Coach Tim Murphy out in California. He's a wonderful football coach and has been over and supported the club over the years. And he makes it work in Californian high school football and wins state titles. So there's no reason why it can't work. I think one of the key differences between your average Coach Murphy defence and the average Gateshead defence is they play cats at linebacker. They play guys that can go sideline to sideline at high speed. I'm not sure Gateshead have got those players.
So we've got a touchdown. Tiga Diegbe, I think that's his first one of the season. And it's going to be Jacob Shotton for the PAT. Don't want to put the curse on him, but he has been quite consistent this year. That's good. That makes the score 7-0. Vikings.
Yeah, the game at Glasgow, I think he missed 2 wide left. He hooked them both. And there was some question and debate whether Coach O'Regan would keep going for them. But Coach O'Regan's of the mindset that you have to get it right in the games that matter. So you keep practicing it, and you keep practicing it live. And Jacob's the type of guy who will reward you with consistency eventually. He's probably got 4 or 5 misses in him in the whole season. And if he can get a few out the way early when it comes to crunch time, he'll be the guy.
So we still haven't seen this reverse return from Gateshead. Be nice to see. It's actually quite a nice play. Saw it last week, used to good effect.
Yeah, absolutely, and even just the fact of that it can form a hesitation in the kickoff team. You've got these guys flying downfield at full speed. If they stop their feet voluntarily and let you line up a block a bit easier, or slow them down before you make your block, you've gained an advantage even if you don't. But I think if you don't pull the trigger early, that hesitation slows down. And okay, you might get them, but you don't get that long-term value. Now this is going to bounce. It's cleanly fielded by Rob again, though.
Some hard hits going in there.
Yeah, we haven't talked too much about it so far, but this is going to be one of those games that I think is just going to escalate. Everyone's calm at the minute, but the hits are starting. There's been a couple of late ones already, but they've been allowed to play, so I think it's going to end up getting tastier and tastier.
Well, I think Gateshead, despite being 0-3 compared to the Vikings 3-0, Gateshead will fancy themselves to improve on their performance so far this season. And they've got players, they understand the playbook. You know, Vikings' defense is predictable in the way they set up, so they'll have their game plan to try and attack
absolutely. It. Absolutely, and in a game that's this physical, a team with Gateshead's mindset are always an issue.
Drops back to pass, throws to the receiver, it's slightly wide. Number 88, Darren Mould.
Yeah, it's an interesting route. I mean, he runs the curl. He's definitely open on the curl. Maybe he runs it a bit long. It's without being in their sort of classroom. It's hard to know how they run that. It looked like the coverage was soft enough that he could have just slammed on the brakes and ran it like a hitch. He didn't need to bend away. I don't know if that's something that the QB is thinking about or if he's just missed him.
Brings up second down.
Yeah, second and 11's a big ask for this offense. They haven't really shown the capability of getting a huge bunch of yards.
Especially off an incomplete pass. You'd expect second and 10. So got a counter right, 1-on-1 to the outside. Running back shows his speed, is in the open. Is that number 21? Connor Joyce does enough to force him out of bounds.
Yeah, Connor Joyce is claiming that tackle all day long. Okay, very interesting though. They look like they had it sort of all clogged up. The counter is generally a sort of an inside play, inside a kick out. The kick out player did really well, but number 8, sorry I don't know his name at the moment, but he showed an incredible change of speed. That not just top end, but just the acceleration was brilliant. He left a cornerback for dead, and really the cornerback started 10 yards outside him with a huge amount of leverage.
He's a very explosive player. He's an ex-Olympic weightlifter in terms of snatch, clean and jerk. Not Olympic program, but he's got explosive speed. He's actually slimmed down a bit this year as well, which will make his acceleration faster.
His power to weight ratio, his Wilks number will be going up. He'll be happy about that. But he really showed it. He put one foot in the turf, bounced outside and was gone. And really this sort of unbalanced offense, what Gateshead are showing, where they're motioning the guy in, they're trying to play 11 against 10. They're trying to play inside something.
Hits the slant underneath. I wonder if he heard the footsteps of the free safety coming across there.
I've got a feeling that was a bit of a business decision. That looked like a great on-time throw. The receiver looked like he made a great break, but it did look like he hesitated just a little.
He seemed to line up very narrow to the centre of the field, considering he's running a slant. He really wasn't pressing that sideline.
Yeah, the slant was very skinny.
But I mean, also the position he lined up pre-snap, he was very close in.
Yeah, I know, but with his steep angle that he was going to take, the fact that he wanted Raven to feel like there was space outside him, and the fact that is the quarterback very accurate to the outside of the field? Can he genuinely throw the ball that far? All these things have to come into consideration, and they definitely had a chance there.
Throws the corner. The same player, post corner, but slightly overthrown.
And who knows, they might have done us up a little bit there. Maybe they were tempting us into that corner the very next play. It's it's a chess match. It's individual moves, but they all add up to something. And right now, the game plan looks to be Darren Moore's one of our best players. We feel he's got a match up with Michael
Put him in
Raven.
space. Put him in space, and let's see what he can do.
Let's give him a two-way go as well. He can go skinny, he can go corner, he can run stop, and you can see actually Raven 33 is walking away with his head down. Like that's something you want to get at. And now look, they're trying to just hang him. What's going to happen here? He looks like he's playing it a lot harder than he did last time, and he's a lot safer on the edge.
So we had the tight end, number 85, released on a seam. The QB threw it and into quite a bit of traffic there.
Yeah, it looked completable. But what was really interesting about the way Michael Raven played at the corner on this side is he's been beaten around the edge. This time he came down, he played a much harder edge, but that gave Gateshead exactly what they wanted. That let them play 11 versus 10, and okay, it was in tighter space. It was more condensed down, but Raven hung himself on that play because he'd been beaten earlier, so it's something to keep an eye on. That's a great punt.
It's a high punt. See if we can get it fielded. Bobbles, takes it cleanly. Makes one miss, makes two miss. A third, he's down the sideline. That is a great piece of heads-up football there. He managed to keep his head up, stay composed under pressure, let the guys use their momentum against him. What Gateshead did wrong there is he didn't break down enough in the open field. They tried to carry that momentum for a big hit.
Well, when you talk about explosive players like Gateshead's number 8, Teague's one of these guys that has been around the game for so long. He has never really been a 20-carry feature back apart from his years at Northumbria. And so he always has something in the tank. Now, he won't mind me saying that he's getting older. But I tell you what, when I get older, I seem to just get slower at all times. He seems to just save it up, keep it in the tank for some special moments. He's got a touchdown. He's got a 30-yard punt return.
It's given them great field position as well.
Yeah, he's just one of those club men that they're irreplaceable.
Inside zone left. Oh, acres of space. Great block from number 14. A free safety slips. I think the cornerback from the other side of the field runs all the way over and makes a touchdown save and tackle.
We've been talking about the inside zone, though. I actually believe they've gone to an outside zone now. I think they think that tackle's reachable by both Matt Carney and Howard Snaith. The tackles are...
Well, as you were saying earlier, he's lining up so narrow, it's not even really a reach block.
The tight end can just put his hand down and guide him in and then go and block the outside. But on that last play, you saw, and you see it again here, Jordan Matthews, number 14. He is some player. He was a thorn in our side when he was one of Loughborough's very best players for many years. It was really sad to see him. He actually broke his ankle in a game against Durham, and even though it's that the rivalry and whatnot, you hate to see it because he's such a great guy. He's currently working on his master's degree. He's currently playing football, and his technique's flawless. Watch him here again in the left slot.
Second and 6.
He had that huge bubble screen earlier. He's on the bubble again. There we go.
Clean catch.
And a great finish. He scored. There's not many times I've managed to call it, but there you go.
Well, once again, what you're asking the outside linebacker to do in a 44 cover 3 is have some sort of C-gap run responsibility and cover a slot back out.
And, you're not just covering a slot. You're covering a player that was a Loughborough captain. Incredible physical conditioning, incredible toughness, has been taught the game by some of the very best coaches, plays absolutely with his heart on his sleeve every time. So you've got to overcome that, whilst at the same time trying to tackle Johnny in open field. It's a tough ask.
Clean snap and hold. Good kick right down the middle. Makes the score 14-0. And we're still in the first quarter. There can't be much time left in the first now.
So. It was really interesting pre-game. They were having a little bit of a competition with Jacob. And he hit a 42-yarder nice and clean. And it had plenty of legs. So it'd be interesting to see what they do if they get to sort of, the 25, 30-yard line and have a fourth down, whether they'll try it. Because
Well, for the viewers at home, I mean, there's virtually no wind whatsoever. It's a perfect conditions today for football.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Great surface as well. And going really back to that point about the outside linebackers, one thing I've got to say is I am so glad I played linebacker in an era when I could just go down.
Before the RPO.
I mean, when I could just go downhill, I was all right at it. But covering someone like Jordan Matthews in the slot would give me a nightmare. It'd give me fits.
Line drive from Jacob Shotton. Fielded cleanly. Who expect to see this reverse play? He keeps it. Gets a block. He's still going. Number 44, Josh Tucker, wraps him up and brings him out of bounds.
And that's that running ability we talked about earlier. He's such a key player that if, at 14-0 down, I'd be thinking about rolling the dice now. And even if you're going with Dan Lang and he's your QB and you think he gives you the best chance to win the game.
He can throw the fade, and he threw it last weekend. I believe one of them was dropped in the end zone. They've been warming up. I mean, I expect them to do it. You've seen that wide receiver line up quite narrow, which gives him lots of space.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I mean is, if that's your choice and that's what you're going with, I'd still like to see Rob on the field right now, because if they don't score here and the Vikings score again, the game's over.
Drops back to pass. Looking for the fade over the top. That is a lovely grab and great coverage. Free safety comes over the top. Number 20 in perfect position. I think he's just beaten by the taller man.
Yeah, it was. It's one of those situations. It's Declan Botheridge. It's one of those situations where you put the ball in a place that's uncomfortable. And number 88 shows great range, goes up for it. He shows great range. He goes up for it. He secures the ball, and he did well. Now it's actually interesting that was thrown on Deck, who's moved to left corner.
Fumble, manages to land on it. Yeah, so is that the Vikings saying that 20 is going to be their cover man? Do you think they're calling him their best cover man?
I don't know. I can see down the sideline. Michael Raven has still got his kit on. He's still got his helmet in his hand. His head is slightly down. So I don't know if it's a game plan or a conscious decision or an injury.
I mean, we've seen so far Darren Moles being the man they've been targeting. We haven't seen the ball go the other way, hardly at all.
Darren and Gav Barr have been Gateshead's best players for the last 10 years, I think. There's two superb players that have been one club men and are just wonderful football players.
I think we've got false start there. Gateshead have been going on 2 for at least the last 2 drives, and yet we've still got guys jumping.
It is one of those things. A lot of people quite often say, Durham, you go on go and you go on ready go all the time, and why not? And it's like, well, I've had too many false start penalties in my entire career. For what you gain, it doesn't seem worth it. If I was practicing,
I mean, one thing I've taught QBs before is if you're going to use the same snap count, what you do is vary the cadence, and that's how you delay that defensive line's rush.
Even then, your O-line gets jumpy. I firmly believe it's better just to use a freeze. So
what was the penalty there? Was that?
It was a false start.
So I've got about 25 at the moment.
Yeah, because on the last play they fumbled it.
Oh no, he's not managed to hold on. He did hold on to it. That is a beautiful grab. Yeah, free safety number 21, Connor Joyce, was there in a hurry. There was contact as the ball hit his hand, and he still managed to hold it, even though the fact he was spun around in the air.
Connor's not going to be happy with that.
The free safety did everything correct. All that happened was the quarterback and the receiver made a great play.
I love Connor to bits. He's a close friend, so it's hard to say, but I feel he got caught in between 2 things. I think he thought, I'm going to intercept this, and then realised, actually, he's going to catch it. He's the inside support in what looks like a cover 4. He should have just annihilated him.
Halfback looking for some cutback action there, but was met by a number of inside players pursuing. Cornerback did a good job of stringing him out.
Yeah, both Ducey and Josh Tucker went sideline to sideline, And
I think that was forced, though. The cornerback refused to get beaten round the outside. So what you're doing is you're saying the running the only space is inside, and if you've got those disciplined inside men, you know, 1 yard off the pace, inside shoulder, as soon as he cuts back, you know, it's here we are.
And Ducey's delivered a huge blow, but I think I've just seen him. He's definitely substituted himself off, and I think he was limping. And he is. I can see he's down with a physio, and he's looking at his calf. And unfortunately, this year at Durham, he was plagued with a calf injury, and I hate to see it because there's a big debate about imports and
you want to see your best players on the field.
Stuff, but here's a guy who just wants to finish his degree, he wants to finish his dissertation, and wants to play at the weekends. And because he didn't feel like he played enough at the Saints, he's got more games in his body, and he's just desperate to play. And he's been limited by this calf. It's a
Gateshead going for it on 4th and 5.
Yeah, like I say, we're at now or never territory. Let's see what your best play is.
Drops back to pass, looks to downmold again, slant underneath. Oh. Number 57, John Alton, has the ball his hands, but I think it was coming quite quickly, and he was quite surprised it came so directly to his hands.
Yeah, although he'll be disappointed. That's the end of the first quarter as well, so we'll be switching around here. But he'll be disappointed with that because he actually started as a cornerback.
And there was space for him to run after. If he'd managed to pick that, there was space.
As an 18-year-old kid, when he turned up at Northumberland University, it was the year I was DC there, he was a cover corner, and he kept growing. He ended up at safety, and then he ended up at outside linebacker, and he'll be gutted with that because that was a great chance for a pick
potential
six.
Of a pick six.
Yeah, he might have had to pitch it, to be fair, because he has grown quite a bit.
So either way, it's a turnover this time on downs rather than an interception.
Yeah, that's I guess the only thing that he can say. It was like it's 4th down, bat down. You know.
That was not a bad down. That hit his hands. He just couldn't hold on.
Coach, you know, you got to guarantee it because he could have intercepted it and then fumbled it. You know, he's just playing it safe, coach.
So early in the second quarter, Vikings have the ball on their own 30-yard line. Score is currently 14-0. A first touchdown by Tiga on a run, a zone left.
What's quite interesting is Jordan Matthews is this side of the field again, which means they're now strong left. And it looks like 26 has got a much better matchup with him.
Right tackle just strung out the D end for Gateshead.
It's still a good
and
play.
that
was our perspective. It's still a 7-yard gain. But what I say, like, when they were in it like ace left there, tight end on the left, slot receiver on the right, and number 26 for Gateshead on defense looks like a strong safety. He looks like a speed in space guy. So actually, I'm not sure that's the advantage the Vikings want. Obviously, they can set and choose this. It's not a case that Gateshead have flip-flopped. It's the fact that Vikings have changed the strength. And if they've actually noticed it straight away and flicked back. And now when you look at the size of 89 and the size of 26, this tight end on the right, Ross Conlan, that's a mismatch. And when you look on the other side of the field, it's also a mismatch.
Seemed to be a miscommunication. Number 51 for the offensive line of the Vikings, Ollie Monaghan, didn't have anybody to block, I think, so that's probably a mix-up with the line call.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Early on every zone play, all 5 guys with 5 fingers, 1 fist, moving the same direction at the same time.
Well, here we go, Jonathan. We've got 3rd and 2. Your full playbook's open to you. Are you happy to go for the run? Are you going to try and throw it short? Or you're 14-0 up, it's the second quarter, you're going to take a shot deep?
I don't know, I'll probably go freeze count and see. I'd let them line up, call no play, freeze count, then call the play from the sideline. But it's a different situation, isn't it? Really nice cut there.
Yeah, I think that was that the right tackle pulling round.
Paul Richardson. Yes, there's a little bit of afters there with Paul
So
Richardson.
number 81, Dion Feather, I think lined up on the right, ended up leading on the left.
Right, okay. It looked like some sort of counter.
Okay, we have
We've got
a little bit of chat afterwards. Okay, we need to be
unsportsmanlike.
quiet. The referee's using the same mic channel as us, so we need to be quiet when they're talking.
This in before. I think it's going to be unsportsmanlike on Paul Richardson, number 55. I think it started as a joke because he used to play
Here we
for
go.
Gateshead. Yeah, so it's a. That was on the double mic. It's a tough one. Paul is one hell of a player. He's one hell of a mouth as well. And with the fact that he came up with Gateshead's youth, with the fact that he has a bit of banter, he has a funny sort of attitude to any joke. Someone's just given him a little headbutt at the end of the play, and he started talking. It started a little bit of a scuffle, but you never know whether he's joking or not. And
either way, it's not helping his team. 15 yards.
But being headbutted isn't either. So it's one of these things that he is a bit of a pain sometimes. But I don't think he'd say you just headbutted me if he didn't headbutt him. But the headbuttings are much more sort of subjective call than running your mouth. Running your mouth is very objective. You did it, you get punished.
So either way, it brings up fresh set downs, 1st and 10 on their own 26-yard line.
But he's going to have to watch it for the rest of the game because he is an integral part of the team.
Inside zone, he cuts back left.
And you see the first voice after the play again was Paul Richardson. He's shouting for a face mask. He's shouting for protection of his team. But he only needs one more flag to go in the air for talking, and he's gone. So he's really got to watch out.
And I know he's playing centre today for the first time this season. But we saw Teague there, a good couple of cuts, some hard running to make a 1-yard gain. So sometimes as a coach, you really appreciate players that even when they're not gaining that much, they're giving you absolutely 100%. You can see he got hit in the backfield, he broke a tackle, he was cutting back, he was driving through, and all of that for 1 yard, but he didn't go backwards and he didn't lose yards.
It could have been a -4. And they've just
Gateshead all off.
Yeah, they've just got it all back for free, and there you go. There's the freeze count. You can go on go and get them. And actually, they've tried it once and got them once, and Gateshead have tried it 20 times, got them once and lost it twice. So,
interestingly, both receivers are on a fade.
They're on a fade automatic, usually. In most spread offenses, if the ball is snapped on a freeze count, you go on a fade in case the defense switches off. I imagine that's a product of good coaching, not just what the play call was. I'd like to think so anyway.
So number 1, Richie Howe's just on the sideline getting the play call from head coach and offensive coordinator Kev O'Regan.
The way coaches are using statistics these days, you'll take a 1 yard on an inside zone if it produces 3 other 8 yards. Big chunk plays matter more. Successes matter more. So we've got 2nd and short, so the offense is ahead of schedule. And now we're going to have 3rd and long because that's a great sack. I don't know exactly what happened. Our angle wasn't the best on that.
I think we had 2 defensive linemen get great pressure.
Yeah, and usually 1 getting great pressure is okay because they're reading it, but 2 is bad. Jacob Shotton's just given the international sign language of "I want to fade right now."
So number 23, slot back.
Wide out.
Wide out on this side.
Yeah, usually right.
She's up against number 17, known as Bilf. I actually coach him at Teesside University. So it's 3rd and 9. Vikings almost in a twins bunch right. Very close in, the receivers. Jacob Shotton falls down. The QB was looking for him, finds number 14. Jordan Matthews.
It's going to be close. I think it's short though. I think we're going to have a 4th and 1. And
maybe even only 4th and a half yard.
Yeah, looking at the referee on the far side. And, no, they've given it. Again, one of these great perspective things. The referee signalled it. Coach Marshall has said you must be joking. The VAR officials got it as short. I have no idea.
Well, either way, it's a 1st down on a Vikings 36-yard line. Still 14-0 in the second.
Close to a great play. It was tipped by either a D lineman or a linebacker, but Jordan Matthews kept his concentration and did it and converted. It's a really, really interesting stylistic difference between Jordan Matthews and Jacob Shotton. Matthews and his blocking it's visceral. He's aggressive. He jumps the guy and he drives him to the sideline and grinds and he's all aggro. And Jacob is running a fade you cover him on the fade, then he breaks down in front of you 12 yards away and then shakes his head and just says, it was a run. You know, it's a very different clash of styles, a clash of, identities and stuff, but they're both super effective at what they do.
So we have a timeout for Gateshead. I think head coach Gary Marshall's having a chat with the referees, probably talking about that previous call that gave first down after a bit of confusion on the spot.
He's pushing it here. We're at a point where, we're getting close to jabbing in chest territory. We don't like to see it.
But ultimately, it begs the question, why didn't it call the timeout previously when it was actually still time to challenge the call? Because we've had a play go since then.
Yeah, timeout, get a measure. I agree, but he's also he's now ahead of schedule. Before he was angry on it, and it was or third and long, and now he's on 2nd and 11, and he's even angrier. So it's one of those things where mistakes get made, you have to let it go.
Looks like Ducey might be out.
So just had a report from the sideline. Looks like number 3, Ducey, could be out for the rest of the game, as Jonathan called it a recurring calf injury. So brings up 2nd and 10.
I mean, the good news we've just heard there is it might be a high ankle sprain, and it might not be his calf, which would be great news for the Vikings.
Number 14 breaks 1 tackle on the bubble screen.
Yeah, he's. I don't want it to become the Jordan Matthews fanboy stream, but he is one hell of a player.
Well, the thing is, though, Jonathan, it looks to me like the game plan for the Vikings is exploiting and taking advantage of the easy wins. Yeah, and quite often you see coaches want to coach and call plays. Against this scheme, there's certain things that are pretty much always going to be on. And it takes a lot of mental discipline to keep doing those things.
Yeah, and it's why the RPO is a big sensation at the minute, and people are scheming against it so hard, and the defense think they've come up with a solution, and then a new wrinkle comes in. Because if you have a pre-snap access throw with a one-on-one, and you have a great design play like the inside zone, a zone read, and you have a backside pass play, you're not just asking people to be perfect on the chalkboard, which is hard enough anyway, but you're asking people to execute it. You're asking people who practice once a week, who maybe are 2 stone overweight and train once a week, to be perfect like you are on the chalkboard. It's not easy, and it's one of the key strengths of the Vikings organization. Coach O'Regan doesn't have any ideas above his station. He has only been coaching 4 or 5 years. He has embraced
handoff right. Number 80, Darren Mould through again. That's the 2nd time we've seen him on this drive come through the backfield untouched.
Absolute fantastic play. Absolute fantastic play. The running back bounces straight into it, and he flash across the line of scrimmage. But yeah, going back to the big point is you're asking people to execute it, and it's difficult. Coach O'Regan is he's been coaching 4 or 5 seasons now. He's had an incredible amount of success. His win-loss record is either an assistant or as a coordinator. He's huge. His teams always play great special teams. He's my special teams coordinator at Durham. He gets after the special teams.
Here we go, 3rd and 6.
And he's also knows that this is his first year offensive coordinating, so he's going to follow the blueprint and take what they give you.
Okay, we see that same play again. We had the delayed snap count. Both receivers released on a fade.
I'll tell you what's really interesting is we've been making a mistake early on. The wide receiver who's been making all these unbelievable catches it hasn't been Darren Moore. I've only just realised myself because of the jersey sort of number pattern. Darren's wearing number 80, and the wide receiver that's been having a hell of a day has been wearing 88. You can see he's now on at right cornerback, and he just very casually intercepted that ball after the whistle, and that's what made me take stock. The 2 players have got an incredibly similar stature.
Yeah, I mean, they look carbon copies.
Yeah, and then
when the jersey wrinkles, you can't tell whether it's 8 or 0.
And actually, they carry themselves in the same way, and what is great news for Gateshead is they're playing in the same way.
They can both play.
Yeah, for sure.
So that goes against Vikings, which brings up the 3rd and 10.5. Right tackle in a 2-point stance indicates it's going to be a pass. Goes downtown, bit of wobble on the ball, still manages to grab it. Number 23, Jacob Shotton, in for the touchdown. And I think if anything, the ball was slightly underthrown as it started to wobble in its spiral.
Yeah, if it had a full tight spiral, it would have been an easy jogging. I'll tell you what though, I'm incredibly proud of Jacob there. Throughout his career, he came to us at Durham as a goalkeeper, and from our soccer team. And his only real weakness as a receiver was he put his hands on too many people. He's had touchdowns pulled back throughout his career in that situation of just butting up against them, creating a bit of separation and catching the football. And you could see there for a moment his hands went up, but then he left it alone and the ball came anyway, and it's a touchdown.
So that puts us 20-0. Extra point attempt. Goes through the middle.
Now someone got a touch.
21-0.
So there was almost a block there. It was ever so slightly snicked. We heard it, but it's still good.
So that puts in at Vikings in a commanding position now. We're about midway through the second quarter. The Vikings kicked off, so obviously they'll receive in the second half. 21-0 lead.
Yeah, and I think this is where, in some aspects the squad size is gonna pay dividends as well.
Well, one thing we'll start to see soon, if Gateshead can't get a score here and we maybe go 4 scores up, we start to see the second and third string quarterbacks get time, or your backup players get time.
Yeah, and actually there's hungry players there, and it's not gonna get any better. We know that Johnny is a phenomenal lead back. We know that Teague's the perfect backup, perfect foil, always ready. There's a young running back in his second season called Dan Sibbald. I've not actually seen him on the sideline today. I don't know if he isn't here today. I'm just being told.
Number 34.
He's a fantastic talent. The backup, there's 3 QBs as well.
Yeah. So here we go.
Henry, the backup QB, will be just as hungry to get after it. And
Drives it deep and left. Clean field. Makes one guy miss. It's number 84.
And it's that veteran display from Connor Joyce to track him across the field. Whilst others were diving in and flailing around, he just calmly escorted him to the sideline and pushed him out of bounds.
Number 84 there, I think, is got a good turn of speed, because it's quite unusual to see this kickoff squad pursue with such poor angle.
Yeah, and it's I think it's difficult because they wouldn't have been expecting the location of that return. The ball was driven long and to the left.
And he reversed it all the way over.
There was a spike where the guy who lunged, if he makes that play, everyone thinks, wow, what an incredible situation that was.
So I think that's delay of game against Gateshead.
But it's rare to see a player have that much speed to clear around the outside when you've kicked it long left.
Especially now Dira's gone.
Yeah.
Who I believe is playing for Leicester Falcons now?
He is, yeah. He's doing pretty well. Obviously, Leicester are in a bit of a situation with a bit of a rotating merry-go-round at quarterback. They certainly have the rest of the players to be able to compete. They've found life in the Premiership tough. I think that's fair to say early on.
Well, that's why it's the Premiership.
Absolutely, yeah. The situation of losing 6 starters that have practiced. And
here we go then. Base formation, tight end right, 2 backs, gives to halfback, off tackle right. Brings about a 2-yard gain, bringing up 2nd and 13.
And that's really good play from Robbie Brumpton there. Again, when I've been on commentary, I've talked about Brumpton's his versatility.
His versatility. He reminded me to use the word versatility today. He's played a number of positions so far this season.
A bit too harsh on him last year because he was being asked to do something that it was difficult for him. But he's now accepted the position of D end. He butted up against a tackle and then got an arm on the
give right on a sweep right.
Nice little design as well with the quarterback. So the running back releasing behind the quarterback. It kind of got him a little bit of a jump on the situation. But
I mean, for me personally, one of the strengths about the halfback position at Gateshead, he's got that, as well as being powerful, he is very fast.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd probably put him out as soon as the ball was snapped and pitch it to him, give him that extra time to read his blocks downfield.
And that last play would have been, if they had a jet sweep going the other way or jet motion going the other way to try and create some hesitation.
Here we go, 3rd and 13. Gateshead really need to get some movement here to stop the game getting away from them in the second quarter. Drops back to pass and is under pressure.
And there's Robbie Brumpton again, excelling as a D end.
So call that a sack for number 53, Robbie Brumpton.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bringing up 4th and 22.
Oh, and Dan's slow to get up. He's just
It's ankle or a knee.
Yeah, he's not very happy about that. I mean, the best news that Gateshead have got is, well,
They've got
first,
Rob Watts' backup.
yeah, first of all, it's 4th down. Get your punt team on. Get the ball out of here. Secure field position. That buys you a few minutes to get, Rob, a couple of throws on the sideline and actually not much loss of performance. Now, one thing to see that'll be interesting is against Glasgow, when Rob played, they went to 0 wide receivers. They went full sort of single wing, double tight end. If they do the same here,
I don't think that'll be successful against this front seven.
I don't either, and it's difficult to see how.
It's a good, nice, clean snap. Gets a hold of the ball beautifully.
There have been some brilliant punts from Gateshead, to be fair. Hang time, direction, non-returnable. It's gone from punted from their own 10 to roughly the 40. Opposition's 40. Opposition's 42, I think.
Hold it there.
Well,
Okay, so Vikings offense take over the ball on about the 43-yard line.
Yeah,
21-0 up in the second
They've used
quarter.
this formation a few times, and Darren's actually asking for a timeout. They're in tray here, so you can see they've got no left defensive end either, and here he comes now. I was thinking there was some big formation change, but no, the left end just forgot to come on.
Oh, I know, but you're talking about experienced football player. He'll call a timeout for that rather than run with 10 men on the field.
Yeah. And it was probably going to be a bad situation as well because they were in the tray formation. They put the tight end to the right. Jacob's already at the right wide receiver, and now Jordan's in the right slot.
And you're missing your DN from that side. So tight end and 2 receivers on the near side of the field.
Yeah, I mean that really.
I mean that DN now showing his head up on the tackle. That shows you've got good opportunity. Makes one guy miss. Uses speed round the corner. Rob Watts on the tackle.
Yeah, tray's a really interesting formation for the Vikings. We used it a lot last year. We're continuing to use it now.
But you would expect some sort of shift and gap responsibility from maybe those middle backers or moving over your strong side D end or D tackle, but they seem to me to be lined up in exactly the same way, which creates a clear overload on the Vikings' right hand side.
Yeah, and it is, and it's compounded by the RPO, and you've got the outside linebacker. You saw left tackle Matthew Carney block the left defensive end on that play, almost like a pass set, and it bent back into the B gap, and the outside linebacker was nowhere near.
Jet sweep right, cuts inside, number 14, cuts back again, all the way into the end zone.
Yeah,
brings up touchdown number 4 and a score of 27.
Number 14, it's Jordan Matthews again. And I'm pretty sure Richie has just been saying I threw that forward and it counts as a pass.
Well, it was. I think it was technically a forward pass. So
yeah.
Why not? Why not take it?
Paul Richardson, the centre.
He caught it and scored a touchdown.
Paul Richardson, the centre, liked it so much. He's trying to chat to the commentary team now. But for a guy who's already on one unsportsmanlike conduct, so
let's see the special teams. Time and place. Number 23, Jacob Shotton.
Hang on, didn't you say last week that if someone makes 4 in a row, they should just win the game?
I did say that. I watched the Glasgow Tigers, I think, kick 7 extra points and not miss a single one.
And
I said to the referee, if it's 4 in a row, that's the game over. Because let's face it, special teams are good enough to do that.
Yeah.
So we now have 28-0, second quarter. I would expect now to start to see a rotation of players from your second and third
although
string.
one of the things I can see is that as the offensive line come off the field, they've got that strange, I want to say the word perverse smile that only offensive linemen can possess. That it's going to be one of those days now.
Oh yeah.
And that the O-line aren't going to stop, and that means the second string QBs, running backs, wide receivers should get a platform to play.
They're going to get a service. So we're 4 scores up in the second. Let's talk about the other teams in this conference that are going to be front runners. We've got the East Kilbride Pirates, and it's very difficult to commentate on them because neither of these two teams have played East Kilbride yet.
Yep.
They've come down from the Premiership, so you would expect them to be physical.
Yep.
They've been in the Premiership a number of years, so you'd expect them to be well coached.
They've got a great youth setup, so that those players.
What was it?
Yeah,
Number 84 struggled to hold on to that. He had his eyes downfield before he'd managed to secure the ball.
Unfortunately, it bounced out of bounds for him because that could have been really
Well, it'd been live. The kickoff's live. As soon as it goes 10 yards, it's live. I mean, it was a long kick, so he did have time. Sometimes things just don't go your way, do they?
No, and so the East Kilbride, you know,
and you played Aberdeen and beat Aberdeen, but it was by no means a big victory in terms.
No, and it swung both ways as well.
It was a close game, and Northumberland played Aberdeen last week, the last match, and only managed to win 7-3.
Yep.
Particularly poor conditions, apparently quite windy, wet, pitch surface wasn't brilliant, which really hampered their passing attack. Just been told by Mick Tyler there's 7 minutes remaining.
I think he's signalled 7 minutes 30 seconds.
Hand off right, halfback strings along but can't find anything.
And we're one more score away from a running clock here, which is another thing that the podcasts like to debate. It's an interesting situation. I think it is better for the game overall. I just think it does cost some of those younger players a little bit of a chance to play. But with the game being the way it is, the blowouts aren't very pretty.
So we're getting that East Kilbride Glasgow Tigers score for you soon. They kicked off slightly earlier than this match. It's a nice catch and grab by 84 and a great open field tackle. Number 42. What you got there, Jonathan, is Gateshead have had some success in the short passing game, but what we've seen each time, that even though the pass has been completed, you've always had the cornerback there making the tackle straight away.
Yeah.
Phil Sabelli.
Phil Sabelli there, yeah. One of the Tier 4 visa crew that was restricted early on in the season, but is now back to play. The Vikings defense, they go hard up front, they blitz quite a bit, they stunt quite a bit, and they play quite soft shells. So they've got their own version of bend and don't break, and it's not totally passive, it's attacking.
3rd and 12.
But 3rd and 12 is their kind of downs. They love to start in cover 3. This is a great run.
That was a beautiful play design as well. He read the blocks great, made number 20 miss, and he's picked up a first down. We had a fake jet sweep left, a counter right, I think, with the left guard or left tackle pulling. Got a great block off him, stuck to him like glue, made a guy miss.
Fantastic misdirection there from the Gateshead offense, and it might be the spark they need to get going. It was interesting to note as well that Connor Joyce again tracked it all the way, and another push out of bounds tackle for him. He's a real leader for this club. But yeah, it's the DBs like to play soft and keep it under, and they love 3rd and 12s, they love 3rd and longs, because that's where a lot of their interceptions come from.
High snap, counter left. It's met at the line of scrimmage.
Well,
by number 44, Josh Tucker, read it well.
We didn't notice something, but Dan Lang's out and Rob isn't in.
We have the 3rd string QB. I saw him play a few downs last week. I don't know much of his history. Second and 9. So those cornerbacks playing quite soft coverage, letting Gateshead throw underneath and then making the tackle.
Yeah. And again, it's 2nd and 9.
Higher snap. Picks it up, rolls right. Throws on the run, it's intercepted.
And it's Deck Brotheridge.
Number 8 makes the tackle, the halfback. It's a pick and return of about 20 yards.
And that has really changed.
Brings up a 1st and goal on Gateshead's 5-yard line.
And from probably Gateshead's best single offensive play, design, execution, action, they've gone and flipped it right almost immediately. And like we say, this score is for the second half running clock, which actually is a tough one. I mean, the Vikings score quick when they score. Gateshead don't really deserve that. But unfortunately, any team that turns the ball over 3 or 4 times in the first half is gonna face an uphill battle.
47-14 East Kilbride Pirates lead the Glasgow Tigers. And that is the full-time score, 47-14. So I think that tells us a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bigger margin of victory than the Vikings put up. Same play as we had last score, jet right. This time it's met in the backfield.
Next live game is EKP.
So just been told the next live game we're going to broadcast will be here. The tabletop in 2 teams topping the tables. That's not easy to say, Jonathan.
No, 2 undefeated teams. It should be great.
Yep.
Well, assuming this game continues to form. And that's going to be on the 9th of June. Okay, 9th of June, right here at Druids, and we'll be live streaming on UK AFL. And it'd be great to see those 2
tray
teams.
right formation, handoff right, cuts back inside, then takes it out for his 2nd touchdown of the day.
Let's go, T. And I think Jordan Matthews there has just had his first blemish on his record. He missed a block, didn't matter because Tiga stepped him. Then he kind of waited. And it kind of didn't matter because Tiga just used him as a traffic island. And that's a great veteran finish from Tiga.
Well, the thing was, he cut it inside and then also bounced it outside while reading his blocks. You know, that takes a lot of patience because a lot of guys see pressure, especially towards the goal line. And you think, I'm going to put the shoulders down and try and drive it over. And he actually weaved his way through.
Absolutely. The backfield action was really smooth. They presented full flow almost as if it was some kind of power read or some front side read. It might have just been secure.
Get 5 in a row. Straight down the middle again.
And so it's 6 in a row. What happened?
6 in a row. I've no idea.
Never seen 6.
I have last weekend. I saw 7 in a row.
Okay. I wonder what the club record is. Can you know what I mean about these old linemen coming off with this crazy look in their eyes that they're about to do some damage? They're all walking a little bit taller. I think that's because they've seen Michael Oakes, club photographer. They're all looking for the Instagram shot.
So what do we think about that result then? 47-14. East Kilbride Pirates obviously
versus
putting
Glasgow.
out a message there to the rest of the conference saying, you know, we've come down from the Premiership. We are going to be the ones to beat.
Yeah, it's a great score. I think that they've scored well on offense. I have a feeling that games tend to snowball in the UK. So, you know, once you're beaten, it's quite hard to stop those scores coming in, just like Gateshead are going to probably experience today. It's going to be hard to change it massively. Yeah. So we don't know if the game got away from them early and they scored twice late. We don't know if it was 14-14 at the half and East Kilbride made changes.
Bobbles the return again, but picks it up this time.
He's hitting it.
And he's wrapped up at about the 14-yard line.
So we are hearing that East Kilbride was 27-0. So they jumped out to 27-0.
Right.
And it looks like a convincing dominating performance.
All it does is set up a humdinger of a match here between the 2 undefeated teams. I mean, both of these teams, if you look at East Kilbride and the Vikings, even though it's early in the season, they'll be looking down the line at a team like Sandwell. That's who you're going to have to come up against at some point in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sandwell have had an incredible start to the season. But, you know, we've seen...
Finally, with Leicester Falcons out of their conference, so they can actually assert themselves.
I wouldn't...
Because if you think about it, if you take the Falcons out of the equation, they're probably undefeated in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they won't be happy about you mentioning that, though. Okay, so we've got We've got 2:53 left in the half. But yeah, I don't think they'll be happy about mentioning that, because I think they'll define their own successes in a different way. They are a perennial playoff team. They play extremely physical football, as the Vikings found out in the extremely physical football. Sorry, I've talked over the referees. You know, Stanwell are just a great side. I think their division overall has got a bit weaker. We saw Lancashire Wolverines offensive coordinator get fired or released this week with a little bit of hoo-ha online.
So we go 5:50 front now for the Vikings. Rob Watson at QB. QB sneak, makes one man miss. And he's picked up a first down.
And you can see the immediate change of intention. No wide receivers, 2 tight ends, a wing back.
Well, as you called it earlier, they've gone to that heavy set. Rob Watson at QB. We know he can run with the ball. It's probably his main strength at QB. He's a superb open field runner.
And they show it. They showed the pass. It looked like a QB draw. He came back, he rocked back, he flashed the ball up in the air and then went for it. And, you know, here we go. He started great. But unfortunately, the other quarterback started great. Let's see if they can keep going.
Fakes the pitch right, goes downfield, uncovered. Oh, that was a good read last second by Connor Joyce, because I think the cornerback had sat, whether they were cover 2 and the cornerback had stayed in the flats.
Yeah.
He was definitely uncovered down the sideline.
I didn't.
Free set, I think they were cover 2 shell with the cornerbacks sort of D-gap defenders almost.
It would make sense.
Keeps 9 men in the box.
Yeah, I certainly don't think against 0 wide receivers is going to be soft. But Connor again makes a great play, but to be honest, the QB's missed there. He had a touchdown.
Counter left. Darren Moore puts his shoulder down, picks up 6, and bringing up 3rd and 4.
That's a cornerback coming in and making a great fold tackle there. Oh no, it's the safety, sorry. Great fill of the alley there and slow playing it. Cross. One of the big things about these wing style offenses, you've got to cross key that wing back. Someone on the backside has to think counter, reverse, shovel is coming.
It's all about discipline. And you end up having a great game by virtually doing nothing but not breaking your assignment.
But the one play you're there. But here we go, third and 5, third and long 5, I think.
QB keeps it right.
Strange mix that, because the QB set off.
He looked like he was holding the ball up to pass it.
Like it was sprint out, but all the people downfield were blocking. So I don't know if he was trying to get that draw.
Yeah, I think he's probably just trying to keep the secondary.
And it's 4th and 2, and it looks like they're going to go for it. 4th and 4, and it looks like they're going to go for it.
It's not particularly long left in
They have been known to do a little rocker quick kick though, and he is an all-round athlete.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see if he lines up slightly deeper than normal.
But also, what you play? You've got 2 minutes left in the half. You're 35-0 down.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Can you gain 4 yards? Oh, and it's a high snap. It does the right thing, covers the ball, but sometimes things just don't go your way. It looked like they were going for it on 4th down, but high snap from the centre.
Yeah.
Puts them in a really poor field position.
And again, another
Let's see who comes on at quarterback for the Vikings.
Another long list in the chapter of why Coach Rooney doesn't go on to.
So still got our first string players out. Richie Howe still in at quarterback.
Yeah, it's
2 minute call him. 2 minute warning called by the referee. So just to echo the referee there. So Vikings still have all 3 timeouts. Just had the 2 minute warning. Looking to go in for a 6th score before the half.
It's a really interesting dynamic. If this was the NFL, if this was college, there'd be a good chance the quarterback would be out, or they'd be thinking about taking him out. But when you are funded by the players, and people have paid the club fees, and this is the only, we're saying he's not got enough experience at QB yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're pushing for a premiership berth.
Yeah, and if he's going to be your QB next year, he needs to play.
Roll right. Looks to be keeping it. Picks up a block from 89. Sensibly steps out of bounds before taking a big hit.
Yeah, and Ross Conlan, we've not talked about him much. He's an absolute beast at tight end. He's another guy that came over from the Lightning merger. He had a little bit of an injury at the end of the Lightning, and it took him a full year. He didn't play last year, but he came down and supported, and now he's fully transitioned into the team. And he's got a great understanding. The QB, The QB just gave him the nod.
1:47 remaining in the second
And
in
he
the first
turned
half.
and blocked and gave him the edge quite nicely.
So we've got 2nd and 4. 1:47 remaining. All 3 timeouts remaining. That tray right formation. Sorry. Twins right, tight end left. Fakes on the front. Number 23 on the slant underneath.
Jacob Shotton again, and it's one of probably the defining plays so far of Vikings season. They've been hitting that jet sweep, that quick shovel, that quick pitch inside.
Well, what that
very
motion,
consistently.
what the motion did is it just took the free safety's eyes away
yeah,
from where the ball was going. The
100%.
free safety, his eyes followed that motion.
Yeah.
He's thinking, do I have to get over to the
Well,
sideline to make the
Jordan
stop?
Matthews has already scored on that play. So it's kind of a you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. The fullback flows and they pop it in, but they
I mean,
hit it
one of the things there, though,
early.
Jonathan, is that the cornerback that was beaten there, he was still lined up incredibly deep, sort of like a cover 3 depth when you're down on your own 10-yard line. You don't have that depth. You've got the back of the end zone to help you. And I think he makes that 7.
Six
Or
in
is
a
that
row,
6?
6 in a row, 40.
I think that's lack of experience from the cornerback. You're playing
42
cover
now.
3, you don't get beat deep. But
Yeah.
you've only got the 7-yard end zone. You've only got to cover 15 yards.
Well,
You've got to get up closer and take away the slant.
Yeah, I promise you though, if you line up closer and take up the slant, Jacob Shotton scoring a fade. Like,
Well, you can't throw the fade. That's what I'm saying.
can,
You've got
of
the
course
back
you
of the
can.
end zone. What I'm saying is, it's
Yeah.
easier to hit the slant there than it is to hit the fade.
100%. If you know you can displace the free safety, it's easier to hit the slant. 100%. But if you're a squat corner in that situation, and they run something like fade with like a 5-yard speed out, you know that number 16 can't get there. If the cornerback doesn't jump the speed out, he's done.
Yeah, you're put in a difficult position.
Yeah, if you squat the corner, the free safety can't really play the middle of the field and has to help you. So now that the jet sweep's an easier score, it's one of these situations that.
So the score is currently 42-0, and we're still inside of about a minute left of the first half.
I think the fundamental thing is one of these situations where you're absolutely right. You could do that. But if Jacob Shotton goes up and scores an end zone fade in the back corner, the commentators are saying
A pooch
why
kick.
didn't-
And that's fielded by number 40. So it's a designed onside kick where he put it really high. The front line of Gateshead were caught napping. They were lined up too deep, and once that ball goes 10 yards, it's live. Number 40, Matthew Bell. Do
It's coming back though. It's coming back.
you think we've got the
There is
Vikings liner offside probably in front of the ball?
I think they're going to say in front of the kicker when it was kicked. The linesman came in with such. He's the umpire today. He came in with such, dare I say it, excitement.
Here we go.
That I think
Here's
this
the
is going to
call.
get turned over.
Okay, just as you said, Jonathan, Vikings and their eagerness to recover that onside kick were offside, just in front of the kicker.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing to coach because obviously at some point the kicker has to decelerate a little bit more, and if he's a really great kicker, it can be just in his leg swing. It looks like Jacob maybe gave him a little bit of a hesitation, and that let his team overrun it. But it was caught so clean that 6 inches from the kickoff team wouldn't have mattered. You know, they could have been 2 yards behind him and caught it on the one hop.
Well, that's the thing we've got for Gateshead. With them having 3 deep returners, it means they've only got a 4-man front line.
Yeah, and they've only got 8 ready to field it, and dare I say, there's only 5 of them kind of look like you'd want them to catch a football. Don't know if that's too harsh.
Deep kick to number 84, fields it cleanly.
He's ahead of 4 of his blockers, turned down and tackled.
Number 25 on the
Yeah,
tackle.
he took off with extreme sort of effort and attitude and vigour, but unfortunately the rest of his team weren't with him, and he ran past 5 players.
Yeah, Mike Ellicott on the stop, good open field tackle, but as you say, I think that's a little bit of rookie inexperience. He wasn't setting up his blocks, but also how hard was his kick return team working for him up front?
It didn't look very. I mean, we're 42-0 in the first half. There's a lot of, talk about, is going for an onside kick when you're 42-0 up a good thing to do? Is it sporting? I think that
50 front for Vikings against this heavy set. Very slow snap. Good hard running.
Good run, though.
And it's a fumble at the end of the play. Recovered by Vikings. First down, Vikings.
Yeah, I
mean, after a great run, it was a delayed handoff due to a high snap. Good hard running, and
Gateshead sadly have undermined the chances with shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly with a football.
Well, I think if you look at the turnovers now, I mean, Vikings had 2 turnovers at the start of the first quarter, but Gateshead are probably sitting on 4 or 5 turnovers now.
Yeah, and it looks like
you can't win a game if you're losing the turnover.
Unfortunately, there's a Gateshead player down. I don't know which one it is, and it's number 8, which is the running back, isn't it?
Yep.
And he's been here, and he's crouched over his arm as if that maybe he's taken contact on it. That's what's caused the fumble. But we know, anyone who's an Olympic lifter, a power lifter, a snatch kind of guy, they're kind of tough. You know that they've been through a pain situation, particularly in the hands. They're gonna have those shredded palms and whatnot.
Yeah.
That this doesn't look good. And yeah, when you've got a team that is
reliant on the run,
and is physical and is tough and is in your face and wants to grind, then every time you cough the football up, you're gonna pay, unfortunately.
Well, I mean that's one of the differences we're having a run-based offense. Is it's difficult to score points in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, he's up under his own steam.
Yeah, I think it's going to be sort of an arm limb injury. It makes it a difficult situation if he feels like he wants to go, but he's not sure he can handle the football correctly. It's going to be difficult for him to help the rest of the game. But at least he's got half time. This year, I'm not sure if it's a thing that's been league-wide, but in every game I've been involved in, the referees have been choosing themselves to take a 20-minute half, which probably means he's got roughly about half an hour till he needs to next handle the ball, and they can make an accurate assessment on him.
So Vikings, twins left. Slot on the right, lined up in a wing-back position. QB rolls right, tight end underneath. Finds number 23. So Gateshead run a zone coverage here, and you can see number 23 is taking advantage there. He just found a seam, he stopped in between the 2 defenders.
Well, yeah, absolutely, but he's also crossed the whole field. The tight end on this side was 89, Ross Conlan.
5 out.
Yeah, the wing back on this side was Jordan Matthews, who did like a deep corner he had a hard head fake inside, so it was a big.
Well, he's trying to attempt that outside linebacker away from number
absolutely.
23.
And it was a flood concept. That was your backside wide receiver coming across and sitting in a hole.
1 minute and 5 seconds remaining. I do believe Vikings have still got all 3 timeouts.
Yeah, and it's
currently 42-0.
And it's an absolute, it's turning a bit of a nightmare situation. They were 35-0 down with 2 minutes to go with the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
turnovers
have really cost the Senators in this quarter, especially.
Yeah.
So got twins left, tight end right. Outside zone handoff to Johnny Mbai. Picks up 10 yards and what looks close to a first down. Timeout to Vikings, so they clearly want to score.
Yeah, they're sending a message here. We want to score. We want to show the league that 47-14 isn't the biggest result this weekend. And I think it plays into the personalities as well. Coach O'Regan is ice cold. He's a head coach who loves his special teams. He's learning his bit as offensive coordinator here. He's doing a great job of picking this apart today. But I think he also knows that we've already had Gary Marshall on the pitch once. If anything,
the referee is just checking what the down and distance is. I mean, that looked very close to a first down, so perhaps we might have a measure.
Yeah. There's 57 seconds in the game.
In the half.
In the half, so yeah, geez.
So we're calling this 2nd and short, which means the Vikings could get another first down. It's QB Richie Howe calling back into the huddle.
It's just been a timeout, so there's no reason why there can't be a measure. Aside from the fact we've used the full minute of the timeout already. It does look like the chains were pretty much set on the lines on the field, and it is a situation where if you've not made it to the line, then you've not made the first down. So
we have number 23 on an island on the right. Let's see if we get a slant underneath. And hand right.
Johnny finishes the job very nicely.
Johnny Mbai picks
and
up
you
a
notice,
touchdown.
you notice what we were talking about before about, yes, he's soft, he's got that leverage, and Jacob just runs the fade, runs him to the back of the end zone, doesn't lay a hand on him.
But takes him out of the play.
And the cornerback then flows and can't make the tackle in time.
So here we go. We're going for 7 in a row on the extra points.
There's a great video. It was shared again recently. It's shared every couple of years. Is the old Jerry Rice one of every play's a fade until it isn't.
That's right. So score's currently 48-0 in the close of the second quarter. Good snap, good hold. Referee signals. Kick is good. 7 extra point attempts in a row brings the score to Vikings 49.
I'm going to ask you the question.
Gateshead Senators 0.
What happens at 8?
I think we need to start subbing in some second string.
I believe. I mean, they've taken timeouts to score, so I don't know. Will he just say that this rivalry is dead and buried? Like, this is it?
Well, I think Gateshead's having a pretty tough season this year.
Having a tough season.
Looking at 0-4.
They're looking at 0-4. They're looking at...
Played the Yorkshire Rams, who'll probably be the other team in this conference who's
and
potentially relegation.
They've had a bit of a wave because they started poorly.
Is this the Rams?
Yeah. But then
I believe they picked up some players.
They did, yeah, because quite a few of the Leeds Beckett players who just won the national title in college took a little bit of time, and they were deciding what they were going to do next. I know that 3 or 4 of the players went and played abroad in Finland and Germany,
right?
Which will obviously deflate the Rams a little bit.
Also gives you an idea of the calibre of the player that they go over and play semi-professional on the continent.
Someone like Tyler Broad, Spencer Hind, Sheldon Campbell, they're unbelievable players, absolutely unbelievable players. Connor Rimington, they're all out playing abroad, playing the trade in
Connor
Europe.
Rimington being the only player in Britain, I think, to pick up the national championship at university level with 2 different teams.
I've seen that. I have no idea if it's true. I know he's done extremely well, but I know there were people who transferred and won one at the new spot. I haven't tracked it, to be honest. I know that there was a period where Birmingham were winning fairly consistently, and quite a lot of the players were on Masters and had come from other places.
Elsewhere.
But I haven't tracked it, to be honest. He could very well be. I know
if
him
it is
well.
True, I mean, that's quite a claim to fame, especially at the age he is.
It's brilliant. He's a hell of a forceful player. And one of the things is he's obviously big, but he's
a big guy.
He's worked really hard to get
stronger.
I mean, I
remember seeing him when he played for DC Presidency. He wasn't particularly fit, and hopefully going to those decent university programs, he's worked on his strength and
in both of them, he's played the majority of games both ways, which is incredible at 350 pounds plus. But yeah, so I believe that.
Here we go, Rob Watson at QB in the heavy set.
I believe that
Ryan Fletcher in at halfback. Play action, throws it to Darren Mould. Connor Joyce in to interrupt it.
Yeah, and I think that the Rams have picked up a couple of Beckett players, but you get into university exam windows, things like that, and it's always difficult. But
and also change into a new program, new playbook,
new stuff.
And there are differences between the adult game and the university game.
One thing for sure is like the set with the Vikings have got with Coach O'Regan at the helm. Having Coach Bottomley, who's one of my most, respected rivals. I love that guy to bits. His team will get better and better and better.
Fake pitch right, QB keep up the middle. Ooh. Oh, and he's upended by number 36.
It looks, he's got up very
Johnny
clean.
Frayne.
He's got up very clean, which is nice, because that's one of those ones that if your studs are stuck in the grass, it could have hurt.
Yeah.
But luckily, he just rotated around it, so it's fine. Yeah, he's gone off the field. Oh no, he's gone to get the play call.
Let's see how many seconds we've got left.
think we're going to blow for time here. They're not going to get the next play off. Yeah, that's it. That's going to be half time.
That brings up half time. So the score in the first half of football here at Druids Park: Northumberland Vikings 49, Gateshead Senators 0. Thoughts on that half? I mean, clearly a one-sided half of football. What will you bring from that? You're the coach over at Gateshead. What are you saying to your players now?
It's a tough one. So I'm almost lost for words because I don't think I've ever been on a team, fortunately, that has been 40 points down at half time. It's not the way we go about our business. It's going to be difficult. What you've got to do is you've got to focus on the next play, because 49-0 doesn't happen because of a massive avalanche and everything going wrong. It happens because the next play didn't go very well, or the last play didn't go very well, and they've just got to say, you know what, it's an old adage, it's 0-0. Let's score next. Like, let's not win this, but let's score next and see what happens.
Okay, well, I think that's has been signalled to cut to a break. Okay, just Mick Tyler there telling us got a quick break. I'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly right. For a family of 5 traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff, because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine that, like, flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah, like, exactly.
Awesome.
Thousands of businesses who have taken out a fast, affordable funding circle loan and helped your business fly.
Good morning, we're joined by quarterback Richie Howe. Welcome, Richie.
Thank you very much.
So, first year as QB1.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Tell the viewers your history, your stories.
Yeah, so I've been playing for a while, almost like 10 years now. It's kind of progressed different positions, but pretty much my first position I really played was quarterback. The team looked out to me and asked if I wanted to play, and I said yes.
And that was at Woodham, right?
Yeah, so Woodham Warriors, yeah, I owe a lot to Danny Ketch and John Tate. They got me into the sport and progressing through that. A lot of coaches helped me out on the way.
Certainly in good hands with those two.
Yeah, they've guided me tremendously. I still have to reach out to them for advice nowadays, yeah. So, and then since then, it's just progressed. Like I said, I've kind of moved throughout a variety of positions. But always going to end up back at quarterback, and here I am now, 3 games in with 3.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I enjoy throwing the ball, and I like leading the team. I feel like as a quarterback, you really need to lead the team. So maybe leadership comes down to it a little bit. Yeah.
We've mentioned in commentary quite a lot. I don't know if you've listened to any of it back.
Yeah, my mum watches all the games.
Heard the horrible things we've been saying about it. But we've been saying that one of the things that stands out whilst your numbers are compared to others.
Yeah.
What you do appear to have is this leadership. But more importantly, in my opinion, is you don't panic.
No,
under pressure, you seem to be able to make decisions quickly.
It's what with exams and at school, I would never get overly concerned about them. I always feel as though you get out what you put in. I put it onto American football, so I know that eventually I'll always come through for the team. So far, like I said, my numbers haven't been great. I'm looking to improve them this Sunday. But I know that I'll always be there for the team. In those pressure moments, I'll get the team through. So that's what I like to do.
Got some good receivers.
Yeah, great receivers. Stand out, obviously Jacob, Jordan, Dion, but even the younger guys, Jordan, another Jordan. Promise is looking good. Paul when he comes out in the receiver. But Jacob and Jordan, wow, what fast guys. It's hard for me to get the ball that fast. So but moving from now, running backs, great support for me. To be able to ride on them to get 100 yards every game, fantastic.
And quite a nasty offensive line this year. Not nasty, vocal, shall we say.
Yeah, vocal. Yeah. When they play, I'll say they are nasty. They want to go out and they want to enforce the will. So in front, Eden, he's not here this Sunday, but he's a great centre. I've known him for a long time. Milford, he's progressed so much in the past 2 years. Can't say enough about him. And Howard, one of my really close buddies, a great guy to have on the outside. Then our left side, what experience you have? Matthew Carney, head coach of the Raiders, and Oliver Monaghan. What a guy, a really nasty player up front, what you like to have. So a very good offensive line. Very good offensive line.
Okay. So 3 wins, 3 games, 3 wins.
Yeah.
Not a bad start.
Not a bad start. As a team, great. Our defense is really helping us out. Personally, I haven't hit everything I wanted to hit. I've kind of been a bit sloppy on throws. Well, like I said, I played a variety of positions. I haven't played quarterback for 3 years now, so I'm getting back into it. Hopefully this Sunday I'm looking to put out a stand-up performance and get back on track with
the media have been a little critical, but they've commented that the numbers for the Vikings this year haven't been as good. They haven't been stomping teams 50-0 last year.
And absolutely, but you look at last year, we had a guy in Eric who was an amazing athlete. And obviously I'm nowhere near that as an athlete. No. But at the end of the day, we're 3-0. And if we win every game 7-0, we will 30-0 win the Premiership next year. Absolutely, teams won't become playing then. So.
And realistically, is that likely to happen? Do you really think deep down inside that you can get to the final?
Why not? We did it last year. The talent we have on the team right now is exceptional. All around, like competitions everywhere. Quarterback, running back, cornerback, safety. The talent we have in all the positions is really, really good this year, and something I haven't seen in the team for a while. We're 3-0 now. We have Gateshead. Looking to go 4, 5, 6-0. Then see where we go from there. So the season's still young. A lot can happen, but we are confident in our ability.
I think last week, whilst it was quite a close win, 7-3 at Aberdeen, if you look at the schedule before you go, whilst it might not be the most difficult game on the schedule, it's certainly the most difficult day.
Absolutely,
it's a 6-hour trip there, 6-hour trip back.
Exactly, yeah, and it knocks your preparation up. I'm one for knowing where I play, like my surroundings, having to go to away games like that. But they always say about the great teams, when they play bad, they still manage to win. And on it, in offence, we didn't play well. We had a lot of penalties, but we still won, which is the main thing. So again, with 3-0, we can't complain.
Okay. So it would be remiss of me to let you go away without talking about your other passion, Liverpool. and we just want to get your comments on what you think, with them bottling it at the end.
I think bottle's a harsh word, Nick. We'll be having some words after the camera's cut, but
it was certainly exciting. Wasn't
yeah, exciting. Very close. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, I suppose. But Champions League, we can get big ears back to Anfield for the 6th time. So yeah,
all right, good.
There we go. Yeah.
Best of luck, mate.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. Just before we get into the second half, we're going to just go through the current half-time scores around the country. Thanks to Double Coverage for providing us with all this information. In the Prem North, you can probably see Tamworth, dominating really. Edinburgh 40-0 at half-time. Seems a little bit one-sided. Excuse me a second while we just get the plane out of the way. The second game in the Prem North is a little bit closer, with Merseyside currently leading the Manchester Titans 29-13. Bit of a local derby, that one. And then moving to the south, we can see that the Blitz are 21-0 up at Kent. Kent, the new boys in the south. And a bit of a closer game in the London Olympians, leading Farnham Knights 24-12. And a half-time in the other game there, the Warriors 26-0 against Bristol Aztecs. The game we've mentioned here, it's 49-0, but the other game, more importantly, was they weren't both unbeaten, but they were both in a chance of the division title. East Kilbride remain unbeaten on 2-0, and Glasgow go to 2-2, I think, with that result. That's quite a statement win actually for EKP. Everyone thought that game was going to be a little bit closer than it was, with Glasgow's performance here, for instance, a few weeks ago, and last week against Gateshead. They were quite dominant. Moving into the NFC South, that appears to be scoreless at the moment, although that is only in quarter one, so that may be just that we haven't got the information there. And Shropshire Revolution, who have been reasonably good this year. They've won a couple of games, are beating Chester 20-8. Moving into the Central, Sussex Thunder 14-0 again in quarter two. And to the east, Cambridge beating Wembley, and the Bury Saints have a slight lead against the London Hornets. We're going to leave it there for now and come back with an interview very, very shortly with your commentators, and we'll get an update on the game.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly right. For a family of 5, traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff, because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag, so you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. It's right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine that, like, flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Okay, 10 seconds. 8, 7, Okay, well, we're joined by Coach Jonathan Rooney. Welcome, Coach.
Hello, Mick.
Well, what can we say about that half?
Yes.
Pretty dominant.
Yeah, it's a dominant performance. I think that aside from the Vikings' early wobbles, they self-corrected and distributed the ball pretty well to all the playmakers and executed a game plan they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, we had 2 touchdowns from Tiga, 2 from Jordan, 2 from Jacob, so quite well distributed.
1 from Johnny.
And 1 from Johnny.
Yeah, and so they've definitely put the ball around a bit. They've given their key players touches, and I think they'll be pretty happy with the game plan. Anytime there's a local rivalry game or any sort of rivalry, there's excitement, there's nerves. This is the Gateshead game, and they were a little poor on the first 2 drives, but since then, job done.
Is it fair to say that could have cost them against, shall we say, better opposition?
Potentially. I actually think that Gateshead are a better team than they've shown today. I think in particular they've shot themselves in the foot today. Against Glasgow, I went and watched live last week, and they were outplayed and they lost the game heavily. But the first score hit really quick, but the second score took a while, and the third did, and it kind of snowballed late. I don't know what it was at the half. I think it might have only been 21 or 14 at the half. It wasn't outrageous, and that Gateshead style of physicality and toughness and in your face played them really well. Unfortunately, stylistically and in a matchup, you've got a modern multiple read spread offense versus a fairly static one size fits all will just out execute your defense, and the Vikings have picked them apart.
So second half we're going to go with running clock, of course, now.
Yep.
Because the score is more than 35. Do you see Coach O'Regan resting people like Richie and Johnny and some of the starters straight off?
I think there might be a tone setter. I think that Gateshead scoring first in the second half would carry quite a lot of weight. I don't think it's going to change the result, but if Gateshead come out and score first, the game might get uglier than Vikings want. So they might just score once and then ease up. I think one of the biggest issues is Tiga as a running back. I can't say enough about him. I love him to bits. I think he is the perfect backup. I don't see giving Tiga 20 carries in this second half as being good for the long-term prospects of the team. But I think 20 carries just rolls off Johnny's back because he's in peak physical condition. The biggest shame is that Dan Sybil's not here. I think if Dan Sybil was here, he probably gets the entire second half, and it's a much more development focus. But with Johnny being such a prime, physical shape, health, I think that they just keep running with him.
So would you change the QB?
Yeah,
and the
I do want to
receivers?
see Henry.
Yeah.
I do want to see Henry. I think that Henry is. He had a great season at Newcastle. He had an exciting season, and I think he's hungry to play. So I really want to see
I was
Henry.
talking to him before the game, and he was chomping at the bit.
Yeah. And I'd really like to see Henry. There are a few young wide receivers that we can see a little bit more of.
Okay, it looks like we're ready to go, Coach. So to cut you off there.
No worries at all. It's a great kick as well by Gateshead. It's fielded cleanly on the bounce, and Jacob Shotton's on the return.
So Vikings. Hello. Vikings with the first return of the half. First and 10 on their own 27-yard line.
Now, we're sorry if the picture isn't updating yet at the moment. We're just resetting the camera for this second half, and here we are with the Vikings on offense. And
Number 11 in at QB.
Yeah, which is Nathan. And now Nathan has been a player that
Flag on the play.
has bided his time patiently. He last season was probably the second string quarterback in every game. The thing that he probably found difficult to deal with was that I think there were 3 other starters. And, you know, early on when those players hadn't arrived yet, like Doug and Eric, and Richie as well, he was asked to hold the fort in 2 difficult games, and they won them.
So holding on Vikings offense?
Yes, it's a bit of a subdued start. We were talking about this with Mick. Starting fast in this second half will make this game end really quickly. So we're sorry if there's any camera issues at the minute. We are just trying to sort something. I believe we have a picture now, although the editing might not be spot on because several of our staff are around the camera.
Twins left, tight end right, 1st and 20. Gives the ball up the middle. Bounces outside. He's in the open field. He's got a couple blockers. Cuts back again. He's finally grabbed down by number 80, Darren Mould.
The Gateshead sideline are incensed because they feel there's holding. But one of the players stopped, protested, put his hands out to the side, asked the referee for holding, then realised the play was still going, pursued and missed by 6 inches. If he just kept playing the game, he might have had the tackle. And it's a real difficult one. When you're getting hold, you are incensed, but you've got to keep playing.
Snap to whistle.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And
so number 41's limping off, looks like an ankle injury. Middle linebacker.
And actually, last week, there was a lot of call from the Gateshead sideline for holding on Glasgow. They weren't happy with the holding calls, and so I think it'll be a particular personal bugbear coming into this week.
So 1st and 10 on the Senators' 40-yard line. Inside zone give to Johnny again, cuts back, picks up a block downfield, outruns the corner. Pushed out of bounds by number 7, Rob Watts. On about the 13-yard line, brings up another 1st down.
Yeah, and Johnny showing his fantastic range there. Inside zone, left, cut back to the right B gap, instant vertical burst, expand out around the DBs, take the sideline, take no punishment, and a huge explosive play.
Yep. Well, I mean, one of the beauties about this Vikings offense is the run game is very, very simple. And with a zone scheme, if you can execute, you know, it doesn't matter what you're showing in a front 7 or a front 6. If they start the box, you just throw the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I fundamentally believe it's the best,
single
best play in football.
Number 19, the intended receiver.
Every
Simon Rice, but he was blocking downfield, so I think a miscommunication.
Every play can be undone by any defensive coordinator, and there's the old adage of whoever holds the chalkboard last will win. But if you are going blind into a game and you've got no idea what the offense is going to do, you've got no idea what the defense is going to do. If the offense is a spread team, can run the inside zone, can have some sort of RPO on both sides, pre-snap and post-snap, you truly give yourself the most options. You know,
that's modern football, though.
Yeah, if you happen to be a flexbone team and you come up against a 62 with 6 350-pound D linemen that are all NFL ready, you're going to have a bad day.
That was a big haul to the left.
If you come out an inside zone, you just flick that bubble against the 6'2", and, you know, you've got a chance at a play. So it's one of those things where...
Got 9 yards on the carry there. You can't afford to give that up.
No.
9 yards on an inside zone carry. Especially with a 40 front.
And this is, you know, the O-line hasn't changed. The tight end has changed. We've now got Ross Conlan, 89's off, and Lee Davison, number 85, is on. Lee Davison's a great clubman. He works on the committee in the exec. I believe he's chairman or president or something. Does a lot of work. We've got some changes at wide receiver, but the O-line is the same. They've created a huge cutback lane.
Yeah, I mean, both outside linebackers blitzed round the edge on that play, which meant there was no way of them stepping back up into that B gap. They both shot the C gap round the outside.
Yeah, but there was an initial space and bubble that you know a back like Johnny's going to find.
You've got to question why they're putting both of those outside linebackers on a blitz like that.
You'd hope it was because the DNs are stunting inside, but again, if you're practicing once a week, if your communication.
So there we go, our 8th touchdown of the match.
And they had a rough game last week with several big guys going down.
Bobbled snap. So there we go. We didn't get the point after attempt kicked, but what he did was pick up the fumbled snap and run it in for 2 points. So he didn't kick it, but he scored 2. So do we count that as a point after attempt miss or a 2-point conversion?
Was it a fake?
It was not a fake. I mean, that was a broken play, but he still scored 2 points.
Then it is a miss. But it was.
Are we calling that, even though he scored 2 points, we're calling that a miss?
Yeah, we are.
Right.
I think 7's still the club record, though.
7 kicks in a row, but that's 8 extra point attempts in a row.
And I'm sure he wants
for 9 points.
I'm sure he wants a shout out for his personal reasons and also his bus company. But Howard Snaith keeps making.
So that puts us at 57-0 with a rolling clock in the third quarter.
2-pointer. So you don't.
I mean, here's the thing, Jonathan. Right now, I'm saying we've got a score here. If you could, if you can leave with at least 1 score on offense, that's something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it happen? It's one play at a time, isn't it?
It's a deep kick into the end zone. He touches it and fumbles it back inside, but he's going to run it out. And he's met about the 14-yard line. It would have been better to leave that as a touchback.
Yeah, although it's this idea that if scoring is what they want to do, maybe a player like Darren on a kick return is how they do it.
Yep.
And so he's like, you know what, I'll take the chance because we've got to find some way of breaking the game out. And if we starting on our 15 or our own 20 isn't much of a difference, to be honest. I don't like it myself. I think the touchback is the correct thing, but we're blessed with hindsight, having seen it.
So the thing is now, your cornerbacks can play quite soft and just give everything up underneath.
Yeah.
Back to a 40 front. It's met in the backfield. Josh Tucker in on the assist.
Yeah, he's rolling back the years.
That's number 53. Robbie Brumpton, the defensive end, on the tackle. So they ran it off tackle to the right, and he managed to beat the offensive lineman, get around him, and make the tackle in the backfield.
Robbie actually asked me at half-time if I'd been fair to him this time, and I think I have.
He's made some plays. He's made some plays. I think he's had a sack as well.
All of Northumbria's D-line has been disruptive. You can see that the offensive lineman for Gateshead is spinning around, got hip rotation, internal rotation, and the QB or running back can see
play action, throws it right to number 85, I believe was a tight end.
Yeah.
We've not actually seen him targeted since the first quarter when they tried to hit him on the seam.
Yeah, it's been in tight action both times as well. Like he got bumped to the floor after the pass had gone there. He doesn't really look extremely rangy, so it's going to be difficult for him to separate.
Yeah, it brings up 3rd and 12 on their own 13-yard line. So we have 2 receivers, tight end, 2 backs, motion left. Fakes the jet sweep, counter right. Ryan Fletcher picks up about 7, which brings up 4th down and 4.
It's not going to see it yet. Punt team's coming. Which ultimately I think's the right goal. You've got to build up this second half in blocks.
You start the game as if it's 0-0. As you said, if it was 0-0, you'd punt in this position. So why would you ever do anything different?
Absolutely.
Getting a first down here is not going to bring back a 57-point deficit. No. You've still got to play sensible football.
They've not been in the. Have they been in the red zone yet?
Not that I can recall.
No, and it's tough. They've been maybe on the 30 or the 40, so they have to do something to very much change
So
the
who
field
have we got
position.
back to return? Is that number 19?
Is it Dion?
Simon Rice.
Oh no, Simon Rice.
It's quite deep. Oh, it's a great
Oh.
punt. Muffs it. With chase on. And there's that man, Darren Mould, has a great chase. Picks up the fumble. So here we
Yeah,
go.
And that's that field position. Now they're on the 30.
Picks it up on the 30. We've got a complete
Unfortunately, one of the
flip of
Gateshead players is
field
slow to get
possession.
up.
So I had a word with Gateshead starting halfback, Steve Taylor. At half-time, his AC joint of his left shoulder, when he had that play, he fumbled the ball. It was a turnover. He said he got hit. We didn't feel like the hit, and then he hit the floor quite hard, and he didn't feel any pain whatsoever until he got up off the floor. So that's him out for the rest of the game. And AC joint, that's going to take 3, 4, 5 weeks minimum if he's back this season.
That's a real shame for him because he was one of the most promising players. At the end of that kickoff, I've just seen that number 26, the outside linebacker for Gateshead, limped off the field really slowly. And also on the sideline, number 27 is removing his jersey.
Yeah, well, we're starting to see that the Gateshead sideline's starting to thin out a bit in terms of numbers.
And is that Daz on the far side being looked at?
It's one of the players receiving treatment.
There's a couple of players stood in front and coaches stood in front, but one of the players is down. And that would be a huge blow. No, actually, I can see Daz.
I think Gateshead is down to about 20 players fit now.
Yeah. And this is they suffered against Glasgow in the second half. They had 4 or 5 guys go down.
The Tigers do have a big squad this year in terms of numbers and size.
Yeah.
2 of the biggest D linemen I think I've ever seen.
Number 99
2 of the biggest humans I think I've ever seen, to be honest with you.
Number 99 has got
So Ryan Fletcher once again gets the ball up the middle. Yeah. Number 57.
Yeah, if football doesn't work out for number 99 Glasgow, then I'm sure professional wrestling would.
John Alton on the stop.
He's got some, he's got some gifts genetically, let's say. He's about 6'8" and must be 350, but looks like a regular shaped human being. He doesn't look, he's not fat or anything. He's just a big.
Well, there were 2 of them.
Built bloke.
they took one.
Yeah,
they took the biggest human being I'd ever seen off and put on the biggest human being I'd ever seen on.
Yeah.
There we go. Gateshead shotgun, 2 backs, tight end right. Drops back for a pass. It's pressured by 53, Robbie Brumpton in his face.
And that's much better play than what we saw in the first half from the Vikings defence. A much more physical attempt on a late thrown ball.
Well, I mean, that play was caused by the defensive end, who I couldn't actually see getting touched by anybody on the offensive line. It seemed to me
it looked like Robbie just made a head fake, and because he is a former DB, he's got that sort of quickness.
Motion left. So we see that fake jet sweep counter right.
And the D-line will be a
false
bit...
start, maybe?
I mean, okay, it's going 5 yards back, so the D-line will be happy, but I think they had a little bit of a stunt dialed up. Because 99 came real free into the lane with real bad intentions.
Number 99, Tom McHale. Fumble snap. I mean, I think the intention there was to give the jet sweep, but over to the left of Gateshead's offensive line was an uncovered outside linebacker and a strong safety, I believe, walked down. So I can't see how that play would have been successful in that you had 2 unaccounted for defensive players.
Yeah, it's not going well, let's just say that, for Gateshead's offense. They've just been given great field position by the special team, and we're now on 4th and 22.
You've got to go for it here. I mean, it looks to me like they're punting. Why aren't you going for it now?
Why would you line up with 4 wide receivers?
But I don't understand whether they're in the Vikings half. What do you gain by position here? So that's the up back on the punt return.
Connor Joyce.
A clean grab, picks up about 2 or 3, but most importantly, holds onto the ball.
I'm sure
that's an unusual call. I mean, in this position, this is the closest you've been to the end zone.
Well,
you've got to have a shot.
Yeah, and again, like the
I mean, me personally, Jonathan, I'd be looking to put at least a couple of receivers and throw the ball into the end zone. And if it's picked, you're basically the same field position as if you'd punted.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're giving yourself a chance at scoring. Because if you put enough guys in there, there's always a chance. Whereas punting
absolutely.
it. So, I mean, how many yards did they gain from the punt there? 10?
Yeah.
But most importantly, Vikings have now got the ball. And
Yeah.
we've seen each time Vikings have had the ball, they've scored.
Yeah, and it goes back to say really early on, if your base punt is going to be something so obscure with such little field testing, and it doesn't have a great fake, what's the point?
Yeah. Number 11, Nathan Baker in at QB again. Looks for the pass underneath, but I think he just slightly wide of the target.
We're in an era where film is shared fairly frequently, and there's no problem going to see a Gateshead game because we're 4 miles away. So people know this punt's coming. No one's going to go, oh my God, they've lined up weird. People are going to line up. They're going to have a plan, and they're going to be like, watch the fake. But
So here we go. Trips right. First time we've seen this.
Well, here's the quarter already because of the running clock.
So that takes us into the fourth quarter. Scores 57-0.
I think it was actually empty. Tiga was the only running back on the field, and he was part of the trips.
Well,
which is a bit of a
shame. If you go empty here against this 44 cover 3, what you're looking to do is really stress that outside linebacker because he's put on an outside zone, and even if you walk over the inside linebacker, it's still 3v2 underneath.
Yeah. It's a real numbers game. It's just a shame for the
Vikings.
Vikings.
Off this shell, you'd expect to see a 42 in the box, so you've got to be throwing it.
Yeah. But it's a real shame for the Vikings to go out in empty and then have the quarter take it away.
Well, we'll see how the Senators adjust. You'd expect them to adjust.
We'll see if they've noticed. And it is empty.
So we've got empty trips right, twins left.
We've got Y on the line out there, so we've got a big bubble front now. The Gateshead are walking down.
No, they're staying with a 40 front.
But the safety's gone over to the trips, meaning that
the twins on the left has got a cornerback deep.
This outside linebacker here, he's doing a little bit of a boogie and a dance, but can he run with this kid?
He's a good player. Diana, I coach him at Teesside University. You know, he's a very strong player, but put him against the slot and tell him to cover deep. That's not going to happen.
So he's a bit stressed about it. You can see Daz has sniffed it out. Darren Wall, the inside linebacker, he's maintaining his depth. He's looking right. He's doing a bit of a count.
What we've got is a 7-man box against an empty backfield.
Yeah. And what's really interesting, they've gone empty twice, and the referees have killed them twice. Not like maliciously, but just the end of the quarter into this discussion about the chains. They've had about 3 minutes to figure out how to line up against empty.
Yeah, I know. You've got 5 receivers and 4 secondary.
Like some sort of skinny post speed out combo this side.
We've got a blitz. Jet right. That's a great hit from behind. Number 41, who was on the blitz on the far side to where the jet sweep went. So he's pursued it all the way through the backfield. That's great hustle from number 41.
And we're going to see the third QB of the day. Nathan's led it to a touchdown.
Number 17, Henry Bulmer.
And so Henry Bulmer was the starting quarterback for Newcastle this season. Had a
Newcastle Raiders.
Newcastle Raiders, yeah. He had a pretty good year.
They've had a good year. They've been promoted twice on a bounce.
They didn't get promoted this season.
Did they not?
No, because that would be into the Premiership.
Number 41, Sean Blitz again.
5 in the
double
backfield
blitz from the inside.
Yeah. There's a penalty coming here for 5 in the backfield. Referee's straight on it.
Well, what we can see is against this more spread out formation, Gateshead are trying to get pressure early on with the inexperienced quarterback. We had double middle linebacker blitz, so we had a 6-man rush.
Yeah. Which is valid, you know.
Yeah.
Like if one thing you can do is shorten the clock.
Well, the other thing is as well. I mean, as soon as you get your backup QBs on, even if they're good players, they're not warmed up.
Yeah.
What you can do is just put pressure on them.
Yeah,
straight away. Make them make decisions quicker.
And the centres they're not snapping the ball with huge velocity, you know. So you've got a bit of time to create a rush.
So it brings on the punt unit, 4th and 10. In fact, it's going to be walked back another 5. Or was that decline, was it?
Yes, because the play
so it's
wasn't
4th
very
and
good.
10. See the Vikings punt unit on, who we've got back to return. Number 7, Rob Watts.
It's a real interesting situation how little Rob's played QB. I know he's had, what, is it 2 drives now?
Yeah, I think so. But he's also been playing free safety.
He has, but
and special teams return.
He's a fit lad.
End over end punt. Takes a bounce. Fields it cleanly. Tries to bounce it right and is immediately smothered up by number 21, Connor Joyce, who, let's face it, has had a number of tackles today. I mean, certainly on that defensive side of the ball, we've mentioned his name more than many. I speak to their defensive coordinator, Josh Penny. They've actually walked their strong safety down and left him as a free safety.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I know he's been on the verge of sort of the GB squad, and he's been to a few invites and he's sent tape and stuff, and he's not made it. And I think it's a poor. I think in that case it's a poor decision. I do recognise my bias. I love the guy to bits, but he has a way of finding the ball, and if you submit his 40 time, I don't know what it is. If you submit his 3-cone time, I don't know what it is. His bench isn't going to be as high as some guys.
But sometimes athleticism is different for being a football player. So get heavy set, hands it right, off tackle right, smack the line of scrimmage.
And maybe at the GB level they need every single safety to be able to rotate down into the box.
Yep.
Maybe that's what they need.
I was talking to Josh Penny, the defensive coordinator, and he was saying that his strong safety is coming down in the box against his heavy set, and he's leaving him deep. But he's saying he actually finds the run lanes anyway.
Yes,
he's quick to the ball on the run support.
He's very good on run support in the alley at this level. I think the question for him at like a Great Britain level is
motion right. Fake quick pitch right. Number 4 misses the block, which lets number 20 in for the tackle. Deck Brotheridge. I think that's all down on there. Number 4 missed a block.
We've got a fencing response here. He's put his hands around his head. This doesn't look good for Rob, sadly. Deck, though, his position, the way that modern tackling is taught with the 4 fights and the stuff that USA Football have been doing online and stuff that coaches have been encouraged to do by BAFCA. You can really see there he was tracking the inside hip to perfection, and there was no panic. There were, he really just tracked his inside hip, clamped on. It's a great.
He's been watching Pete Carroll, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
Eyes on the thighs.
I think you're a few years out of date there, though. It's all about the 5 fights now, isn't it? But there's so much great stuff out there. It's really good to see a player like Deck, who's a young lad who's played in the university system. He's been well coached at Northumbria. He's been well coached here. We've talked about Rob's athleticism all game, and he's just had a chance with 1/3 of the field.
Yep.
And we've just had a great form tackle. You've got to love that. But unfortunately,
I think the fullback number 4 could have done a little bit more to help him out there.
Yeah, potentially.
On a block.
Yeah.
But he seems to be in good spirits. Well, we see him get under his own steam.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to stand up.
Yeah, he's taking his helmet off, so he'll have to take a play off. We'll see who we've got in at quarterback now.
And maybe 100% right. If playing defense, kick returning, and quarterback might just be too much for one person.
So do we see Darren Mould, number 80, coming in at quarterback?
Yeah, and he's been.
Hang on, is that number 80 or 88? You've got me confused now, Jonathan.
I can't see with the crease. I believe that's Darren, and I believe he probably will play QB. And I don't believe there'll be any loss of efficiency from the quarterback position. It's just the fact that he won't be on another position that hurts you, because he's been doing this for a few years. He's a great clubman, and he's always been ready. And I don't really see them losing any efficiency here.
So now down to our 4th string quarterback. We've lost our starting halfback, and that's what we see. We get somebody on who's not warmed up in the position. The offensive line's miscued.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be correlation, not causality, because it's either on one or on two, and one of the linemen's wrong. Either the centre snaps it or the right guard doesn't fire. Like, they're the two players that are wrong.
I suppose on the plus side, this just keeps the running clock ticking over. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't have too much longer left now.
There's
17.
With no wide receivers, you think this will be a hard convert.
Number 13 on the tackle, Jordan Hall.
Known to his friends and fans as Gravy. The sideline goes wild. He's a player that is a remarkable sort of story in terms of how the game is played and how it looks. Like, he's undersized. He has not been playing the game that long, but he's got an uncanny knack for finding the ball. And actually, almost every game he's played, there's been one moment where the sideline goes, "Woo, Gravy!" He finds a way of delivering.
So number 19, Simon Rice back to return. Number 21, Connor Joyce is the up back. I think we might have some sort of illegal motion.
Yeah,
the guy was still running on from the sideline while the cadence was going on.
He never went into formation. So I think because he was never in formation, they've given it as a false start. Substituted on, was running.
Well, he never actually lined up.
He never lined up, but they call that false start. I think we both know it's wrong, but we don't know the specifics of it. The Vikings returners have split.
Punts away.
Gets
a hold of it. Clean guy by Simon Rice. Makes one man miss. Got a couple blocks downfield. There's a flag on the play. And a second flag.
Once again, got to highlight the player, Connor Joyce. They split the backs because the last time it looked like it was going to be a directional kick. Connor Joyce cycled behind the returner to cover him, just in case it was a muff. Then showed his athleticism to accelerate past Simon, throw a block in front of him. If you compare that to about 20 minutes ago with the Gateshead's effort on special teams, that's the margin. That's the difference. People are hungry, they're angry, and they want to put their body on the line for their teammates.
So here we go. The referee's going to give us the call soon. Is it two separate incidents or the same penalty flag twice? Here we go. Blocking the back on the return. The two flags for the same penalty. So they'll go back 10 yards from the point of the foul.
Yeah, and they're going to get the ball on roughly their own 45-yard line. We're on a 90-yard field here, so it's only the 30. No, they're on their own 40, but that's only 50 yards to go. There's 10 minutes with a running clock remaining in the game, so we're probably looking at about 15 minutes total.
Twins left, tight end right. Running back on the right. We've got middle linebacker walked up, given a 50 front. Drops back, number 17. Flushed out the pocket. Throws on the run. Number 85 just doesn't manage to hold on. Lee Davison. It was actually a nice effort. Hit his hands. He had to come back for it. He was on his knees when he went to catch it, but that was catchable.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Henry make a real sort of escape move. He didn't
keep his eyes downfield.
It was a very traditional move. The quarterback technique there, where he dropped the inside shoulder, rotated around, gained a little bit of depth. He obviously looks like not only can he play a bit, but he's been extremely well coached.
Okay, running back on the other side, still 40 front with two middle backers walked up. Outside linebacker blitz. Number 12, the outside linebacker blitz, which freed up the slot. He went on a bubble route to the outside. If he'd have picked that, there was a real chance in the open field. Number 71 for Gateshead gets up under his own steam.
Yeah, slow to get up, but he looks okay.
I mean, that's the thing with blitzing. You are taking a gamble. You blitz that outside backer. Both middle linebackers are up. We had a 7-man rush.
Yeah.
It leaves a lot of holes behind.
Yeah. And I think...
So the Vikings are still hurrying up here. They're still wanting more scores.
Well, I think the H-back wants another shot at that because he had a chance to make a big play. And
So, I mean, your outside backer here, there's no way you can cover that slot. Here we go. Same again. Blitz. Hits him again. I mean, it's the same play again, this time on an out. The outside linebacker blitz. There's nobody on the zone. 35 was completely unmarked because 90 did a move downfield, but once again, it's just execution.
Yeah, it looked like a go speed out, and the cornerback being on an island went with a go. The speed out should have been completed. What's really nice to see, though, is immediately the Vikings sideline where, let's go, Jordan, let's go. You know, they're behind the players. It doesn't matter whether you're first in, second in, third in. The sideline support, it was there for Gravy, it was there for Jordan, and they'll be pleased with that.
So 4th and 10, punt team's on. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some sort of fake.
No, I had a quick word with the special teams coordinator at half-time, and he was like, I think I'm going to get told off for going for that fake.
Right.
Does look like there's going to be some sort of rugby punt, though. That's a
I
hot
think
mess.
that was indeed a fake.
No,
just to burst out.
It looked like just a rugby punt.
Well, we had number
out.
44, Josh Tucker, in motion.
Yep, I'm without giving too much away, I'm 100% confident.
Fair enough.
That it was a rugby punt. So what they did is they put the 2 wide receivers out to one side to see if they'd miss a line. Unfortunately, Josh hurried up his motion. He needs to let the receivers stay stationary for a second and then begin his motion. They're now in the base shield. Now, the great thing about rugby punting is it contains...
Oh, he gets a hold of it. Clean catch by Rob. Number 29.
Yeah, he makes the first man miss, but the rest arrive in a hurry.
Number 28.
Leonard Burney.
Leonard Burney, I'm informed.
Yeah, and so the first man down there was Paul Richardson, showing great athleticism. Really,
the centre
really
position.
speed.
It was him
from
snapping
centre, yeah,
it.
so he was the long snapper. Long snappers nearly always get a free release, and he just went like a missile. And okay, he missed, but he made Rob change his feet, stop his feet, move laterally, and then the net and the second line came in.
The second wave came now.
Yeah.
So Gateshead have the ball on their own 25-yard line. First and 10.
The rugby punt isn't a fake; it's a run punt option. So you overload, you motion
and you
a
see
guy,
whether they're putting
you
people
roll
there.
out, and if they don't align, you just walk over for the first down.
Yeah.
If they do align, you just punt it anyway. So it's more.
Rob Watts back in at quarterback.
It's more that the Vikings have got a repertoire
Motion, right?
of things.
Okay, we've got fake the pitch. That's a really nice play. We've seen that motion from the running back out to the right. Number 20 immediately went out with him, which left the right, I think, wing back uncovered on a corner. Ball slightly underthrown, so he had to cut back towards the centre of the field.
And Deck did one of those things where he's had a bit of a discussion with his defensive coordinator, Coach Penny. There, he did one of those things that gets you out of those situations. He hustled, so he might have come down a bit too hard on the motion. But he ran and he ran and he ran and he ended up having an impact on the play.
So 50 front for the Vikings now. Oh, he gets away from number 56 is hit. Runs left.
There is a flag down.
He picks up enough for the first
There's
down. We'll have to see what the flag is. That's possibly a late hit.
Out of bounds. So I think we're going to have a late hit out of bounds on number 28, Leonard Burney. And I've got a feeling this is going to be some sort of hold.
Holding in about from the position
there was
probably offensive
a
holding.
defensive lineman and 2 offensive linemen both went to the floor. There's not supposed to be holding on double teams unless you actually tackle someone and drag them to the floor. So I imagine that's going to be what it is. And I think Coach Penny made the coaching adjustment with Deck there and said you don't care about that motion because he's 7 yards deep in the backfield.
You've got time to get there. As long as you attack his outside shoulder, you're fine.
You're gonna meet him at the line of scrimmage. Don't worry about this. And it seemed to have worked out. And his name slips my mind. The defensive end, 56.
Matt Dyke.
We've not really mentioned his name.
Here we go, the call on the play.
No, that's the umpire. The head ref's still discussing it with Coach
the
Marshall.
head coach, Gary Marshall, the Gateshead
Matt
Senators.
Dyke's another Newcastle Raiders player. He finished his degree 2 seasons ago. He went back for a Masters this year, and he's a very...
So holding on the offense, takes them 10 yards back. However, we've got a late hit, personal fouls, automatic first down. First down for Gateshead, almost at the halfway. So we've seen him attempt to pass the ball twice. Seams from the tight ends and the wing backs. Hit a corner successfully before that. Drops back to pass, and it looks like a design QB draw, but it's probably offside.
The Vikings sideline is incensed at the poor attempt at a stiff arm. I think it was half in jest, though.
False start offense brings up 1st and 15.
It's a really sort of difficult situation in a rivalry where, you know, if probably any other quarterback does the late handoff of a defender, it's just seen as a joke. But as soon as you put it in a cross-city rivalry, it becomes a little bit more.
And that's the game. Is it? No, sorry. My mistake. The ball's been whistled into play. Can't have too much long left now, though.
No, a minute or so, I think.
Same play again then. Design QB draw. Number 44, Josh Tucker on the stop. Rob Watts takes a hard hit to the ribs.
Yeah, it's been a long day for the Gateshead offensive skill positions. Josh Tucker really rolling back the years, a former Saint and current Saints coach. One of the... I don't know how to say this politely because he knows that I love him, but one of the most interesting characters you can meet. If you ever get invited to one of his meme groups, accept it. It's hilarious.
So is that Rob Watts has gone down again?
It is, sadly,
yeah. I mean, he's put in a good shift today. He's
Yeah,
played
he's a
all over the
phenomenal
field.
player.
He's not had particularly good service.
It's really
from that
interesting
offensive line.
as well. You see these players and you see rivals and opposition and whatnot. You know, tomorrow he's going to go to school. He's a school teacher.
Going back to work, yeah.
It's not just back to work. He's going to stand in front of 30 kids 5 times tomorrow. Some of them will be taking the GCSEs. You know, where his sort of whole career, you know, your pay scale can depend on it and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting dynamic as well, because he has, like you say, put in such a shift. I know a lot of players in these leagues, particularly on away days, book days off on the Monday. It's hard to get back to work, but you know, I've done it for years as a teacher myself, and he's a teacher, and he can't book any days off. He's got to go in tomorrow, but he gets a week off soon anyway, so he'll be fine. I bet he wishes it's half term next week though.
9 days actually.
Yeah.
I always count it as 9 days. The 2 weekends and the 5 in the middle.
It is. It's not bad, is it? It's not bad if you can get it. I would say the only thing I miss about teaching, well, no, I miss some of the kids, I miss some of the staff, and I miss the holidays. Everything else, not too fussed.
Darren Moore back in a quarterback. Hands off to number 4, Ryan Fletcher. It's met by number 13, Jordan Hall.
And again, you might have heard over the microphones the chance of Gravy coming in.
Brings up 3rd and 13.
Well, it's been about 12 minutes since we had the 10-minute time check, and I know there's been a few stoppages for injuries. One of the few things that stops the clock.
Does the clock stop for injuries?
Well, it stops for certain things. Yeah, it stops for injuries. It stops for any time the referees had a discussion with Coach Marshall on the late hit out of bounds.
QB keep.
But essentially, if the ball is available to be snapped or is in between with no reason not to be, the clock is running. It doesn't stop for first downs and things. It still stops for timeouts.
Brings up 4th and 8. You have Rice and Joyce in the backfield.
Come on, let's see it, Gateshead. Let's have a fake out of this formation and score.
Good snap. And unfortunately, slices the punt.
Unfortunately, Mick Tyler got it right on the beak. It's not even made it as far as the first down line. I think it's about a 6-yard punt. Connor Joyce on the back end of a fantastic game has just come off to the sideline chuckling to himself, saying these handshakes are going to get real dicey. I think it tells you that even though the game is kind of the results long been gone, I don't think that people are fighting, are going to stop fighting to the end. And I mean fighting in the, good spirit of it as opposed to the actual.
So number 17, Henry Bulmer, back still in at QB.
I think Nathan will be a little disappointed.
He didn't have too many snaps.
No, his problem was brutal efficiency. They snapped the ball 5 times, scored a touchdown, and they're like, right, you're done. Henry's had a little bit longer.
So 40 front, both backers step up. 7-man rush. Number 80, Darren Mould.
And he deserves a play like that, a big highlight moment.
Oh, he does, but you've got to ask yourself why the Vikings are still handing the ball off when you've got a 7-man rush, which was shown. I mean, before the snap, 3 of the linebackers were on the line of scrimmage with their weight forward. It's clearly there's got to be nothing behind that on a short dump off.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of score, running clock. Just,
I know, but you've got your backup quarterback on. You still want him to impress. Because what happens if your starter gets injured? That's who you've got.
Yeah, absolutely. It is key live practice reps.
Oh, here we go. We've got 4 receivers left. So quads left. Sorry. Trips left. Empty backfield. Twins right.
The wide receivers misaligned here, which is going to cause a problem. Oh, no, it's a bubble this side. So we're good.
Throws the bubble underneath. Drops it. And I think that might be a late hit.
Yeah, looks like it. First down, Vikings. This will be a bit of a strange one, that. Number 90, who's one of the backup wide receivers, he lined up on the line of scrimmage, covering up number 85, which meant that realistically it was either a complete mistake, but what it meant is 85 wasn't going to run a route.
Yeah.
And so the guy who got to jump the bubble could just jump it freely, knowing that 85 can't catch a pass. It's interesting to know if people actually, if the defender saw it or he just jumped it anyway. But actually on that one, the way it was jumped, I think Teague did pretty well to bat it down, because at this stage of the game,
he'd got hit pretty quickly
normally
afterwards.
An incomplete would stop the clock, but here it doesn't.
We've got twins. We've gone back to a base formation. Twins left, tight end right, back on the left. So roughing the passer brings up a first down. So once again, the middle linebackers of Gateshead up towards the line of scrimmage. 8-man rush this time. Pops through. And that's what happens when you send 8. You've got 3 at the back end. If it gets through, there's nobody there to make the tackle.
Yep. And that just punch, go again. That attitude will pay off. And that's actually gone in for a score. We couldn't quite see it on that angle, but the referees signalled. And that is an unbelievable touchdown by Tiga Diaby.
Well, considering they brought 8 men.
Yeah.
With 6 blockers, including the tight ends.
You mentioned it earlier that the O-line's big. The running backs are all quite short.
Yep.
He ran into the back of his own guy as his coach. That sort of won the stalemate for his O-lineman. a gap opened. He accelerated into it.
So here we go, Jonathan. We didn't kick it. Sorry, the Vikings didn't kick it last time, but they still scored, which we're saying it is now a broken streak of 6 extra points in a row. Let's see if we can make it
That's
7
the
out of
game.
8.
So
We're calling
because
that the game. There we go.
because this can't affect the score, they don't need to take it. So is that now a miss?
No, because he didn't get to snap the ball.
Did it go on the scoreboard?
Did he start to play? No. Therefore, there was no play.
The last one went on the scoreboard twice, though. And Coach O'Regan's just given the call for lids on for the handshakes. So it's obviously a business trip. A few players have decided not to, though, quite interestingly.
To be honest, I don't think the game's been played in bad spirits.
No, but with the players coming off to the sideline, we can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what it's like. That late hit out of bounds could have been, could have been interesting, but it's a really difficult.
It's not been a dirty game, though.
No,
I mean,
no,
and
absolutely
the late
not.
hit didn't look malicious. It looked like a hit, and it was the
and
wrong
it's
side of the sideline.
Leonard is a player who is extremely athletic and has been in and out of the game for different things to do with job and travel and stuff. So he knows he can play well, and he's trying to show it. And he gets a fourth quarter to show it.
Yeah,
and
he's,
so
he's still going full speed when the game's out of reach.
Exactly, and quite a few people are going a bit slower than him, and he's playing it real hard.
So importantly, that's 4-0 for the Northumberland Vikings, 0-4 for the Gateshead Senators, which sets up the showdown at Druids Park against undefeated East Kilbride Pirates.
Yeah, I'm not
versus
sure.
the undefeated Northumberland Vikings.
It's a few weeks for the Vikings, but I'm not sure what East Kilbride have done. We might be doing the other teams in the league a disservice. They might have 2 games in between, and unfortunately, I'm not sure on the schedule.
They've beaten Glasgow Tigers comprehensively. They've beaten Aberdeen. They've beaten the Rams.
But I think Aberdeen will want another go, for sure. Aberdeen aren't a team that are going to take any steps back.
No.
Okay, so that's the game. That's final score: Vikings 63, Gateshead 0. Takes the Vikings to 4-0, and Gateshead to 0-4. Next game up is June the 9th here at Druids Park against the unbeaten EKP, East Kilbride Pirates. Hope to see you here. We're going to go to a short break then, and we're going to have some interviews and get to meet the MVP and a bit of a summary. So back in a few minutes.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly right. For a family of 5 traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine that, like, flying into the sun?
4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm joined by Craig Lenihan, who was co-commentary today. Pretty convincing result there, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult day at the office for Gateshead, but the Vikings executed in the first half. They really did what they needed to do.
After the first couple of drives, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of mistakes in the first drive, but after that, they were efficient. They took the easy plays underneath. The inside zone was working. It was good decisions. The defense played really well. Didn't see too much of their special teams today, but I think they punted only very few times. Kick returns, not so much because Gateshead weren't scoring. But I mean, you look at that as a game of two halves. The first half with the starting quarterback, it was just lights out football.
Yeah, so 4 running touchdowns, four receiving touchdowns. I think we've got the game MVP, Richie Howe. Do you want to join us, Richie?
How you doing?
Well done.
Well played today.
Cheers, thank you. In the middle, well.
So, people are going to be sick of you because we played your interview twice during the game.
Yeah.
And you're back again.
I think it's.
You went today.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Obviously, we spoke and people were getting them back, but they were saying like, when's it going to start clicking? We're very put enough in.
Well, that was my first question. Do you think today's the day it started to click?
Yeah, and I said that to you. Like, I haven't played quarterback for a while, and I just need that one game to get going. I think that game was today. Rest up this week, we go Yorkshire again, but I could have done without my guys. My guys up front were like amazing. Carney, Howard, Ollie, Paul at centre, and then Jack at right guard. Those guys were immense today. Clean pocket.
Yeah, I mean, there was very few times you were under pressure. I think you only got sacked once. Sean Curtin on the sack. But for me, it was unhurried. You made your reads. You took the chances that were there. I mean, Gateshead's defence, 44 cover 3, give you certain things, and you just took those, which to me is clinical.
Yeah, and it was a tough start. I fumbled on my first drive and a pick, so I was like, is it going to be
Is it going to be one of those days?
One of those days where nothing goes. But no, we got going again. The run game helped massively. Johnny and Tiger just pounding the ball, guaranteed to get like 3-4 yards. So it's very easy.
I got a couple of the fans cheering for Richie. So I mean, here's the thing, Richie. You're 4-0 now.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've got the showdown now. That sets up the showdown. Currently, East Kilbride are undefeated. You're playing them here. You're going to be undefeated.
Yeah.
They're going to be undefeated. So I mean, there's still.
I don't think we can assume we're going to be undefeated.
First, we have Yorkshire next week.
Okay, yeah.
We've got Yorkshire away. We're going to focus on them, and then when it comes around, whether we're 4-1 or 5-0, 5-0, we'll move our attention to EKP. But right now, we're all guns blazing for Yorkshire. We'll do a film review, and then we'll go for Yorkshire.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's early days. So
yeah.
Well done today. It was a great
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Richie. I think it's fair to say that performance has been. It's been due. He's had a couple of good games, and at the end of the day, he's led the team to 3 wins. It wasn't glamorous. Today is a little bit more spectacular.
Well, no, I'm going to say it wasn't spectacular, but I mean that as a compliment. What they did was execute a game plan to take advantage of the weaknesses of the 44 cover 3. The score was spectacular, but they did it in a way that was businesslike, which means, to me, they're adjusting to the defences and doing what works rather than trying to force plays. Because when you force plays and go against who you are, that's when you're not successful. And we saw that underneath passing game, the slants, the very simple inside zone. It was productive all day. So you don't need to do anything else. You just execute the few plays you have. Make sure they're suitable plays, and just get better at your job. And that's what you need to be successful at football.
Well, thanks for your help today, Craig.
It's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Next up, we've got on the June the 9th. We've mentioned it a couple of times. We're here at Druids Park. That's the next live game on UK AFL, and it'll be hopefully the 2 top teams in the division. By that point, we have got a game with the Rams in between. I think EKP play next week as well. So by then, it should be a proper humdinger. So,
yeah, I mean, and regardless of what the results are, I think East Kilbride and the Vikings are probably going to end up as the top 2 teams in this conference. And that'll be the first of 2 meetings, which says, who's going to try and stamp themselves on this conference to be the top team. East Kilbride have come down from the Premiership. They've been in the Premiership a number of years, and I think what we'll see from them is physicality. They're used to week in, week out playing real physical teams. You'll expect them to adjust. If the Vikings offense does have some success, I would expect their defense to adjust rather than keep playing the same shell. And likewise, expect their offense to adjust. Cause they'll have watched the Vikings defense on tape. They'll know what they do, and they'll have a decent game plan. From what I hear, the quarterback's very mobile if he tucks the ball and runs. And that's one of the things the Vikings had last year was a dual threat quarterback. It's very difficult to scheme against somebody who can throw the ball and carry it. So that will cause the Vikings defense problems. Probably, the biggest set of problems they'll have all season is playing this dual threat quarterback. So I'm really looking forward to that match.
Well, that's the next game up on UKFL. The following week it'll be the Leicester Falcons back on against Edinburgh Wolves, and then the week after that we have our first double header. So stay tuned, thanks for viewing, tell all your friends, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Cheers.